wrong house. He's not even. He just even doesn't. He doesn't even know where he is right now.
They got Wi-Fi, so I'm cool.
All right, welcome in. The Draft-a-thon is going on, and we are all set, ready to go here. Round 2 is about to get underway because we are here to see every single player get selected. Of course, the Cincinnati Bengals started off round 1 with taking the somewhat hometown kid, Joe Burrow from Athens, Ohio. And, of course, he's the franchise piece they want to build around. Just as the Bengals started the entire draft process, they're starting our coverage tonight. It is the first pick of the second round, 33rd overall. The Bengals will be on the clock. Where will they go? We saw them get Joe Burrow. They also got A.J. Green back, and don't forget Jonah Williams, their first-round pick a year ago, didn't play a snap. So it is going to be a completely different team going forward for the Cincinnati Bengals in 2020. And let us kick off day 2.
Good evening, and welcome to the second night of the 2020 NFL Draft. Last night, we welcomed 32 men to the NFL family. Thank you for making it the most watched night in NFL draft history. That's a tribute to all of you and your passion for football. Tonight, we're continuing our important work with the Draft-a-thon. The NFL family has contributed more than $85 million so far for COVID-19 relief, including $4 million last night through the Draft-a-thon. Tonight, the NFL will match every dollar contributed by fans. So let's keep it coming because we're going to double your money. On your screen are the 2 ways you can donate, and you'll see that throughout the night. So now it's officially time to open round 2 of the 2020 NFL Draft. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock.
Commissioner, thank you. Zach Taylor looks like he's got an entire coaching staff around him there just to make sure everything goes according to plan. He's making sure everybody's on the same page before they turn in that pick for pick number 33. Here was, of course, the story last night. Joe Burrow, the number 1 overall selection, just the author of the greatest season we've ever seen from a college quarterback in terms of his production as well as the team. They went 15-0, won the national championship. Joe was the Heisman Trophy winner, and of course, there's Zach's reaction, not to the great things that Booger McFarland was clearly saying there as he's watching him on television, but probably more about the reaction of getting Joe Burrow. And of course, look what they've already done in Cincinnati, Ohio. Burrow, the Tiger King is real, ladies and gentlemen. It is no longer Joe Exotic. It is just Joe Burrow, as he is the true Cincinnati Bengal after being a Bayou Bengal. So we've got all our people ready to roll here. Mel, let's start with you. They do get their tackle back from last year, Jonah Williams, who didn't play last year. They get A.J. Green. What do you think they could be looking at here?
Yeah, we said there's not a tight end off the board yet. Cole Kmet from Notre Dame's a heck of a football player. There are some offensive linemen. Robert Hunt, Louisiana Lafayette, tackle guard, is very versatile and a really good football player. So I think if you try to help out Joe Burrow, you go on the defensive side of the ball. There's a ton of directions they can go, but this team's all about now, number 9, Joe Burrow, believe me. And I would try to do everything I could if I'm the Bengals to try to build up that talent base around them.
All right, so Lewis, as a front office insider, where would you go? You know you have your franchise quarterback. You believe you have your cornerstone tackle. You get A.J. Green, who had that freak injury in the offseason last summer on that warm-up field. What is the, if we're following Mel's protocol, build up talent around him, what's the glaring need?
Yeah, I think I would start at wide receiver, Trey. Look, I don't know if you can count on A.J. Green. Look, he's going to try and come back, and we expect him to come back, and we expect him to pick up where he left off. But I would be looking to get a big, physical, down the field, jump ball winning wide receiver in the form of a guy like Chase Claypool, in the form of a guy like Michael Pittman Jr., someone who has a history of being durable and staying on the football field, because that is going to be the most important thing here for Joe Burrow for his development. You have to have somebody who's going to be there day in and day out to work with him and grow with him. So that would be the position I would be looking to fill here with this first pick here in the second round.
Booger, we always love the offense, right? Everything is geared in the NFL toward the offense, but if you look at the division they're playing in, they got to find, I mean, one of the highlights of the year last year was the Bengals linebackers basically on spin cycle when Lamar Jackson was running through them. They're going to have to find some players on the other side of the ball here.
Yeah, without a doubt, Trey. I understand everyone wants to build up the offense, and rightfully so, and give Joe Burrow some weapons. But when you have a defense that was dead last in the NFL at stopping the run, at some point you're going to have to either beef up the second-level defenders and the linebacker, or maybe a defensive tackle to help Geno Atkins out. That's why I think a guy like Ross Blacklock, somebody up front that can help fortify that run defense, which got gashed time and time again last season.
All right, Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network, your thoughts on the team construct process here. What would you do if you were Cincinnati?
Well, I can make a case for a lot of these defensive players I think would be upgrades on this roster. But when you select Joe Burrow with the first overall pick, to me, you've got to get him some more help up front. And to me, I look at a guy like Josh Jones, Ezra Cleveland, those other tackles. They could pair up with last year's first-round pick, Jonah Williams, to keep those edges secure for Joe Burrow. I think they almost have to go offense here, either receiver or offensive line.
Well, it's interesting, those names you mentioned, they were both potentially first-round picks here. But Kurt, as a guy who is going to be the franchise quarterback, that's a position you found yourself in with the Rams. If you know you're going to be that guy, what's the thing you want to have around you?
Well, I like where DJ and Lewis are going. Weapons, weapons, weapons. I had a lot of them when I played, but I think the smart move for Cincinnati is to go on the interior, either side. As Booger said, defensive interior, or as DJ was just talking about, the offensive interior, and get more stout up front, be able to run the football. That always helps a young quarterback, because I believe for the number 1 overall pick, they got a lot of pretty good weapons there on the outside for Joe Burrow right now.
Michael, are you buying this, or you just want to loaded? Give Joe Burrow as many toys as he had at LSU, right? That's got to be where you're going.
And Trey, let's be real here. He has some great toys.
Oh.
You can say what you want. A.J. Green is still one of the best in this league when he's healthy and on the football field. Ross, we talked about the speed and how important it is in this league. I hear what Booger's saying. They were last in rushing against the defense in rushing, but they were also 30th in scoring. If I give him some more weapons, give him that big receiver that Lewis was talking about, we put more points on the board. That's the way we stop you from running the football. We make you play catch-up. That helps the defense also.
Yeah, listen, you're exactly right. So there's a lot of ways they could go here. There are a lot of options for the Bengals, who are trying to get back to the way they were. Look, I know we sort of, and Mel, you've been on this, we look at the Bengals as a whole and see that void of playoff wins, and obviously since they went to their second Super Bowl, it's not a lot there. But we're talking about a team that has been in the party recent memory, and they quite frankly should have won that wild card game a few years ago against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But then, Vontaze Burfict, and that was all part of it.
Yeah, bad luck. And the injury to Carson Palmer, and as you said, the penalty late when it looked like they had the Steelers beaten. But they have had success in the regular season, and they have allowed quarterbacks to have success, as I talked about with the 414 touchdown passes since 2003, ranks 13th in the NFL. So they have done a decent job with their quarterbacks over the years.
All right, Mel, thanks. So we'll see what happens here. Zach Taylor looks like he's by his lonesome now and is on the phone. That would lead me to believe that potentially the pick is in. And ladies and gentlemen, it is. Where will Cincinnati go?
Okay, let's get this started with the 33rd pick in the 2020 draft. The Cincinnati Bengals select T. Higgins, wide receiver, Clemson.
Somewhere Zach Taylor was listening to Michael Irvin. Give this man more weapons. Here's what you need to know about T. Higgins in his 3-year career at Clemson. 27 touchdown catches. Why is that significant? It ties the school record of DeAndre Hopkins and Sammy Watkins, who were both first-round picks. Higgins caught 135 passes for over 2,400 yards, and Michael was good for over 18 yards a catch. That ranked 5th in Tigers history.
And this kid is incredible at going up and getting the football. You see the size right there, 6'3", 216 pounds.
And by the way, just real quickly, this is T's sister, who plays basketball at Middle Tennessee State. So this is an athletic family. And he was also a Mr. Basketball runner-up in Tennessee, Michael, before he decided to focus on the football field.
Look at that athleticism. Look at the way he's leaping and dunking that basketball. Remember, I talked about this guy earlier, what I call those area code receivers. No matter where you put the ball, and you see right there in that highlight, people talk about his speed, but his knowledge of the game is what makes him so dangerous. Yes, he doesn't have that runaway speed, but he has the body that once he stacks you, you can't come over top of him. And he has that great body control where he can contort his body any kind of way he needs to catch that football. Trey, this is a great pickup. These two will be able to grow together for a long time.
Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah, one of the things that's interesting about T. Higgins, his arms measured 34 1/8 inches at the combine. In the last 10 drafts, there have been 4 wideouts in the first round with long arms that long. They were Mike Evans, Kelvin Benjamin, A.J. Green, and Des Bryant. So we're talking about pretty good company here.
No doubt, and that size is going to show up big time in the red zone, and it's going to show up in third down. And if you want to know if Joe Burrow is excited, Joe Burrow trained in Los Angeles with Jordan Palmer to get ready for this draft. And you know who else he threw to while he was out there? T. Higgins. These guys have already played catch with one another. There's already some familiarity between these two, and he's going to be their red zone weapon for the future with Joe Burrow, Trey.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, there were some people that say he fell off a little bit toward the end of the college football run. He admitted he was facing tougher press coverage. He didn't work out at the combine. He said, look, our season just ended a couple of weeks ago. I was done. That might have been one of the reasons why he was still there, but you cannot fault the production that you saw out of T. Higgins. And motivation comes in many forms. When T. Higgins was a kid, he really didn't like football. So his mom said, for every touchdown you score as a 4-year-old, I'll give you a Hot Wheel. He scored a lot of touchdowns. He got a lot of Hot Wheels. And now he's got some Hot Wheels that he's going to go with Joe Burrow. Meanwhile, it looks like the next pick is in. It would be the Indianapolis Colts with pick number 34. And yes, indeed, that pick is in. So where will Frank Reich and company go? Let's find out what they're going to do with the second pick of the second round and how they're going to build around Phillip Rivers, their new quarterback. Let's find out right now.
It's your first pick of the draft. With the 34th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Michael Pittman, wide receiver, USC.
Well, just like the first round, we're going to see a lot of wideouts go up the board. And here's what you need to know of Michael Pittman. The name sounds familiar, and Booger alluded to it. His dad was a punishing runner for the Tampa Bay Bucs, among other teams, and he was part of a Super Bowl championship squad. And take a look at Michael Pittman. He was a runner, Boog, you know better than anybody, that was not afraid of contact and running into people as opposed to running away from people. And Michael Pittman, Mel, plays the position that same way. Listen, he had over 100 catches. Very few people have done that at USC. He goes up and gets the ball.
Yeah, we talk about T. Higgins' catch radius. How about Michael Pittman at 6'4", 223 with that 4.52 speed and a 36.5 vertical. Effective working in traffic. I'll tell you, he's not easy to bring to the ground. He'll block. This kid knows how to play the game. You see the hands, the concentration, the hand-eye coordination. He has all that. And I think you look at this second round, it's been a hot spot for some great receivers in the NFL, Lewis. And Michael Pittman, very underrated. And as I said earlier, you talk about 4.52 speed at 6'4", 223. He will be a nightmare to try to match up with for cornerbacks in the NFL, Lewis.
Yeah, I saw that nightmare firsthand, Mel. I just saw him play against Colorado in Boulder just this past winter, and him and Laviska Shenault just absolutely put on the show, the wide receiver from Colorado. And Michael Pittman was uncoverable in that game, and he caught the full array of routes, the short passing game, the slants, and the hitches, and the wide receiver screens. He caught the ball over the middle. He caught the ball deep down the sideline, the back shoulder 9 routes. He did just about everything you could do, and he's going to do everything that the Indianapolis Colts need him to do too, DJ.
Yeah, and Lewis, his game against Utah was the most impressive game by a wide receiver that I saw this year. He won that game by himself, 10 catches, 232 yards, and a touchdown. They couldn't stop him. When I talked to Brian Kelly, head coach at Notre Dame, he said, look, I watched that film, and we said we might lose to USC. We're not going to lose to Michael Pittman. They doubled him that entire game, kept the safety over the top. That's the kind of respect he got from opposing coaches. I love this pick for the Colts.
Yeah, and one thing you need to know about Michael Pittman, he will overcome adversity, as we see the Lions now on the clock with Matt Patricia and his son. He's dealt with a lifelong stutter And he says, I'm not embarrassed by it. It's something that defines me and who I am, and I've been working really hard to make it better. So congratulations to Michael Pittman. Second straight year, by the way, the Colts have had a receiver go in the second round. They took Paris Campbell out of Ohio State last year in the second round. So Matt Patricia and the Lions are on the board right now trying to figure out what to do with their first pick in the second round. They went, as we thought, chalk in the first round, taking Jeff Okudah, the defensive back, out of Ohio State. So where do we think they might go as we take a look at the general manager, Bob Quinn, the executive vice president and general manager, if we're getting specific about everything. Lewis, you look at what's going on here with the Lions. Where do you see them going?
Yeah, they need pass rush, Trey. They need somebody who can really get after the passer up the middle or on the edge. So now you're talking about Booger's guys. You're talking about Matabwikwe, Blacklock. Those are the kind of guys that they have to consider right now. Guys who can play the 3 technique on the outside shade of the guard and see if they can get some penetration upfield, because they have just been one of the worst teams in the NFL at getting and generating pressure on the passer, and you need that to win in the NFL.
Yeah, that has certainly been an issue, and they've sheltered people in and out. Now, they were pretty active in free agency, getting a lot of former Patriots, much in the same way that Brian Flores and the Dolphins also got a bunch of former Patriots because they all came from that coaching tree. But this is a big year for Matt Patricia. Ownership has basically said, we need to win, and we need to win now. And sometimes, instead of those sturdy blockers and pluggers you're talking about on the defense line, they go for a flashy pick on the offensive side. So we'll see how Matt Patricia and company want to go. But ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in. Let's find out where the Lions are going with the third pick in the second round.
With the 35th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select DeAndre Swift, running back, Georgia.
Okay, this is an interesting pick here because DeAndre Swift is a guy who can do a lot of things out of the backfield. He waited his time at Georgia behind a lot of good runners like Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, but he is a dude that still contributed a lot. And by the way, his average of 6.56 yards per rush during his career broke Todd Gurley's school record. And what does his high school coach have to say about him? He said, God got up one morning and decided to make a great running back, and then he gave him a great name. And that's his dad, Darren Swift. Don't at me, old man strength. He is yoked. He runs a gym called Premium Training, Swift Fit in Philadelphia. I ain't messing with him. Any of you guys want to get a piece of him? Boog, you going to take down his dad?
Simply put, Trey, this guy is a 3-down running back, and he comes from an NFL style of running game down at Georgia, so he understands how to set his blocks up, how to be patient, and burst through the line of scrimmage. But make no mistake about it, what he does best is in the passing game. You talk about a running back that understands how to run the angle routes, how to get out and set up screens and do things in the passing game. You pair him with Kerryon Johnson, who they already have in Detroit. Now they have a 1-2 punch, a pounder, and a third down back that can also run the football and do it all, Mel. I love this pick for the Lions in DeAndre Swift.
Matthew Stafford, Boog's going to love DeAndre Swift. I watched him against Florida, stone a linebacker in a pass rush situation, coming up the middle, allowed Jake Fromm to complete a key third down pass to tight end Charlie Werner in the second quarter of that game. You see his running style. He is very athletic, catches the ball out of the backfield. As I said, a complete running back when you talk about blocking, catching, running, and ball security as well. And he will work hard to improve in all areas. This kid is a kid who loves to play the game, and he only had 440 carries at Georgia. Remember, Elijah Holyfield was a 1,000-yard rusher 2 years ago. 440 carries. Jonathan Taylor had 926 career carries. Not much tread on those tires coming into the NFL to the Detroit Lions for DeAndre Swift, Trey.
Well, listen, Mel, DeAndre Swift is trying to turn something around. Detroit has finished in the bottom half of the league in rushing in each of the 21 seasons since Barry Sanders retired. That's why the Quins are happy. They think they're finally going to turn that streak around. The draft is just getting started tonight.
At Domino's, we think you and your oven could use a break. Ours are running at 450 degrees, and your pizza stays untouched from here to your table. Use contactless carryout to get 3-topping pizzas on any of Domino's 5 crusts for just $7.99 each.
Service isn't just a department. It's a voice on the other end of the phone.
A note to say you're on our mind. A willingness to come to you.
The world and how we interact with each other is changing, but that will never change who we are at Lexus.
Now, more than ever, you and your needs come first.
Find out what service options are available in your area at lexus.com/people first.
Looks like they picked the wrong getaway driver.
Gonna be paying for this for a long time.
They will, but with accident forgiveness. Allstate won't raise your rates just because of an accident, even if it's your fault.
Cut! Sonny.
Is that good?
Line. The desert never lies.
Isn't that what I said?
No, you were talking about Allstate and insurance. Let's try again. Everybody back to one.
Accident forgiveness from Allstate. Click or call for a quote today.
I've always had a problem with sweaty hands.
My feet were so sweaty. The general sports bra area.
My upper lip and my forehead.
It was just stressful.
It's really been a tremendous struggle.
We don't just sweat under the arms. So we created the Carpe line of sweat management products for all over the body.
I haven't had sweaty hands in 2 years since I started using Carpe.
Honestly, just completely changed my life.
Avoid expensive treatments, injections, and prescriptions. For a limited time, get 20% off and free shipping with code SPRING20 at mycarpe.com.
These folks, they don't have time to go to the post office. They have businesses to grow, customers to care for, lives to get home to. They use Stamps.com. Print discounted postage for any letter, any package, anytime, right from your computer. All the amazing services of the post office, only cheaper. Get our special TV offer, a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com/try and never go to the post office again.
The 2020 NFL Draft is presented by Lowe's, the official home improvement sponsor of the NFL. And in part by Pizza Hut. Order today at pizzahut.com.
All right, welcome back. The Giants are on the clock. There you see Dave Gettleman. For those wondering why he's wearing the mask when he's up in his attic, remember, he is recovering from lymphoma, so he's at much higher risk, so he needs to take extra precautions. There we see Joe Judge. Do we see Abby the dog? Is Abby in there? We'll find out. We'll see what happens there. But before we announce the next selection, we have some very special guests that we'd like to introduce to you. Please join me in welcoming members of the 104th Military Battalion of the New York National Guard. Among them is Specialist Christopher Smith, and we're honored to have them introduce the pick.
Thanks for having us. We are here at the Javits Center assisting with the Javits New York Medical Station, providing medical support for the residents of the metro area during the COVID-19 epidemic. We are proud to be here today, and thank you for inviting us to be a part of the New York Giants announcement. We love you, New York. Go Giants!
Thank you, Specialist Smith. And thank you to all our service members, both here and around the world. We cannot thank you enough for what you do and what you continue to do in these uncertain times. Thank you. With the 36th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Xavier McKinney, defensive back, Alabama.
All right, so the X-Man is off the board, which means it's time for another tattoo for Xavier McKinney. He has been doing that since he was 6 years old. He's got Marvin the Martian, the Minions. He's got a bunch of things on there. Now he's going to have a New York Giants logo as well. No surprise, we're starting to see these safeties come off the board. We talked about the tattoos. He's been tattooing players on the field. DJ, he didn't run as well as a lot of people thought he would at the combine. He was suffering from cramps, but this is a guy who made plays for Nick Saban on the back end.
Yeah, this is the best safety in the draft, and I think the Giants benefited from the fact that Xavier McKinney did not get a pro day to clean that 40 time up. This is a first-round player who can play as a high safety. You can drop him down in the box. He's got outstanding instincts. He also has the ability to find and play the football. And Lewis, What I love most about him is they had so many injuries at the linebacker position. They're able to drop him down in that nickel linebacker role, and he was able to communicate everything for their front. So you know you're getting a very smart, heady football player for the Giants.
Exactly, DJ. You know, that position that you're talking about, that nickel linebacker position, is called the money position. The money backer that lines up over tight ends and covers backs, and he can play the star position too, which is a true nickel position. You're right, he has tremendous eyes, tremendous ability to key and diagnose plays. His play entry angles are always good, always sound, and he will drop the hammer on you. And the thing that makes him so good is then you can put him back deep and he can range off the hash, play in the middle of the field. He's the total package. The Giants nailed this pick.
Well, remember, they had success with Landon Collins in the second round a few years ago, but there you see a canine resemblance for Bill Belichick, the Patriots head coach, and Nick Caserio, the director of player personnel. The Patriots are finally participating in the draft process. Let's see where they go.
With the 37th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Kyle Dugger, defensive back, Lenoir-Rhyne.
Lenoir-Rhyne, stand up. Kyle Dugger is off the board. It's the first time an NFL team has selected a Division II safety in the first 3 rounds since the Bears took Daniel Manning out of Abilene Christian, 42nd overall in 2006. This is a guy who just sort of slipped through the cracks and spent 6 years in college. But his mother, Kimberly, was a former basketball star at Fort Valley State, inducted into their Athletic Hall of Fame in 2009. His brother, Patrick, played basketball at LaGrange College in Georgia from 2012 to 12-14. Kyler played basketball at Whitewater High School of Georgia, just like his brother and mother did. And then, of course, at Lenoir-Rhyne, Mel, this guy was a freak show. You just don't see his kind of athleticism at this level.
Dominant player at a lower level of competition, as was Jeremy Chin coming out of Southern Illinois, who could be a pick coming up in the second or third round. Kyle Dugger did it in a variety of ways with that kind of linebacker size, 6'1", nearly 220 pounds. In the return game, he was outstanding as well, phenomenal. 6 punt return touchdowns in his career, 10 career interceptions. At that level, to be a high NFL draft pick, you got to jump off the tape. You got to be a guy who's a stick-out performer, special teams on the back end in that secondary. Kyle Dugger was throughout his career at Lenoir-Rhyne. That's what makes you an early second-round draft choice, folks.
Simply put, Mel, he was a playmaker. He's a guy that can come down and make plays, 10 picks throughout his career. You talk about the 6 punt returns for a touchdown. Here's a guy from a playmaking standpoint. He's always going to be around the ball. You can insert him down. He's going to make sure that if you need to play on your defense, he can make the play, Trey.
All right, thanks very much. The next pick is in. Let's go to the commissioner.
With the 38th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Yetur Gross-Matos, defensive end, Penn State.
All right, Yetur Gross-Matos led the team at Penn State with 9.5 sacks and 15 tackles for loss. He was a first-team All-Big Ten selection by the coaches and the media. But the things that he has had to deal with through a very, very young start in his life is absolutely incredible. Size 17 shoe, by the way, by the age of 15. But you see those tattoos on his arm. When Yetur Gross-Matos was 2 years old, he and his father, Michael, were in a boating accident. Michael made sure Yetur was saved, and then he drowned. And then just a few years after that, on a Little League game in June of 2009, lightning struck and killed his brother, Kalal. He was only 12 years old. And as you saw, he has tattoos on his chest and his left bicep to represent who he plays for his late father and his brother. In fact, Lewis, in one of his first games at Penn State, he got a half sack in the game and the skies opened up and he felt like that was his family watching him. What are they getting in Carolina in this player?
they're getting a strong physical individual that they're going to pair with Derrick Brown, and now they're going to bring the pain to everybody in the NFC South. I can guarantee you that. He's a guy who really just plays heavy-handed at the point of attack, and he also has slippery pass rush ability. He's not the fastest, and he's not the most powerful, but he's a great combination of both. He utilizes good hand use. He utilizes understanding leverage. He utilizes understanding blocking schemes, and when he's able to get upfield and just take off, you can see he can produce those TFLs, those tackle for loss. I really like the pick, especially when you pair it with Derrick Brown and you see what Matt Rule's trying to do, Booger.
Yeah, without a doubt, Lewis. Not only Derrick Brown, but think about Brian Burns, who's going to play that right end position coming off the edge. A guy like Gross Matos, you can put him in left end. He has strong hands. He can play over the tight end. You pair him with Derrick Brown and Brian Burns, you can see Matt Rule in Carolina starting to build a very formidable defensive line.
Listen, the Rule restoration is underway in Carolina. Why did they take 2 defensive players in the first 2 picks, and why are the kids so happy? They allowed 29.4 points per game last year. That's the worst in team history. Everybody's happy now as they're going defense in Carolina.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft, presented by Lowe's.
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning. Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Everyone's doing what they can to get through these times, and so are we. Mercedes-Benz is making vehicle maintenance and buying needs as safe and seamless as possible. Many dealers offer options such as pickup delivery and at-home service, online shopping, and home delivery, as well as special finance arrangements. Because we understand buying and servicing your vehicle shouldn't be a challenge in these already challenging times. Get 0% APR financing up to 36 months on most models and 90-day first payment deferral on any model.
What do we want for dinner?
Burgers! I want a sugar cookie! I want a bucket of chicken! I want...
It's the easiest because it's the cheesiest. Kraft, for the win-win.
If we weren't able to stream anything, I think they'd be lost.
We're all home right now. That's why Verizon is giving you more of the entertainment you want.
Daly is usually watching a TV show, and McKenna is almost always listening to music.
We love Verizon.
I get the shows I need when I need them. Now, unlimited plans come with your favorite artists on Apple Music, shows and movies on Disney Plus, and over 70 top channels of live TV with YouTube TV.
Music plays a huge role in our family. That's how we connect.
Plans start at just $35 so your family can mix, match, and save. Shop online today, only at Verizon.
You know how you cook the patty and you slap that cheese on there and it just all comes together. Can't forget about the bacon.
I taste the sweetness.
I taste the tangy of it. Oh, you want to try that?
Yes. Sweet and tangy bacon slinger.
I'm happy to be a Raven. It don't even matter.
Feeling good and I'm at your door. I will rise. I will rise.
Round one.
I will rise again.
It's all straight.
Yep.
What is that?
Mine. Why?
It's just that it's...
Lavender? Yes, it is. It's for men.
But I like the smell of it.
Hey, I'm Chad Johnson, and I just want to take time to say thank you to all the doctors, the nurses.
Man, without y'all guys, I don't know where we'll be in this time of need. So I just want to say thank you. And I want to say you're doing a fantastic job.
I also want to give a huge shout out to all the hardworking healthcare workers that are sacrificing their lives. You are greatly appreciated, and we thank you.
Glad you're with us for the second round of the 2020 NFL Draft. There is Robert Hunt, and if you like tape of an offensive lineman manhandling people, that's the tape you want to watch in this year's draft. When will Robert Hunt's name be called? And when are we going to hear Grant Delpit come off the board? We've had a run on safeties here recently, but we're talking about the Jim Thorpe Award winner as the nation's top defensive back. Still on the board. We're waiting to see when Grant Delpit may go. So it is Miami's turn to make a selection. Of course, with those 3 first-round picks, they went Tua Tagovailoa, number 1 overall, and then, or 5th overall, rather, in the first round. Then they got the left tackle to block for him, Austin Jackson, all Pac-12 selection out of USC, and Noah Igbinoghene, adding to a very crowded cornerback room for the Miami Dolphins. Brian Flores, the head coach, Chris Grier, the general manager, trying to figure out where they will go next. A couple of offensive players and that one cornerback. The pick is in for Miami. Let's find out what the Brain Trust is going to do next.
With the 39th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Robert Hunt, tackle, Louisiana Lafayette.
Well, there he is. Robert Hunt is now off the board, and Robert Hunt is a fascinating prospect here because Robert Hunt in the last 2 seasons allowed a total of 5 quarterback pressures and 574 pass blocks. He did not have a single blown block on any of his 216 rushes in the last 2 seasons. Daniel Jeremiah, again, if you want to see someone abuse another man, this is the videotape you want to watch.
No doubt, Trey. I'll be fascinated to see what the Dolphins are going to do with him because some teams think he'll kick inside the guard, but at right tackle, you want to see somebody unload on defenders at the line of scrimmage, just roll his hips, explode, and bodies go flying all over the place, collecting knockdown after knockdown. You see him also get out in space. He's got some nimble feet when he gets out there. I thought this is somebody that's going to be a plug-and-play guard, but the Miami Dolphins might give him a shot to start outside before kicking him inside. They've done a nice job with 2 offensive linemen now to put in front of Tua Tagovailoa. Like what they did with Austin Jackson, now they come back with Robert Hunt.
Go ahead, Dan. You think about it, with a kid like this, you can put him in 3 different spots and see what happens. Guard, right tackle. He played a little left tackle, but I think when you look at Robert Hunt, he wasn't pitted against those big-time defensive linemen playing at Louisiana Lafayette, so there may be a little bit more of a transition because of that, but it's all about making Tua great. You get Austin Jackson, who was a developmental left tackle coming out of USC, and Robert Hunt, another guy's going to have to adjust to the level of competition coming from Louisiana Lafayette. So both those linemen need coaching. They may be a year away, but Robert Hunt's versatility can be a big plus for that Miami Dolphin offensive line.
Well, I'm sensing a theme for the Miami Dolphins and Chris Grier. We've got Tua Tagovailoa. He was a little banged up. Let's protect this guy as they get Austin Jackson. Brian Flores is happy, and so is his son with that selection. And then they get Robert Hunt as well, along with the cornerback Noah Igbinoghene, who both of his parents, by the way, were Olympian-level athletes and competed in the 92 and 96 Olympic Games. Meanwhile, the Houston Texans are now on the clock, and there you see Bill O'Brien with, among other people, his son Jack, a 17-year-old who is there with him to help make the pick, and let's see what happens.
With the 40th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Ross Blacklock, defensive tackle, TCU.
All right, Ross Blacklock is a very interesting story as he's awaiting to hear the news officially that he is off the board. Played at TCU. The advisory board told him to go back to school for 1 more year, but he says, I'm going to trust my instincts. Out of Missouri City, Texas, not far away from Houston. His father played basketball at Texas. And oh, by the way, you might know him from another team he played for, a former Harlem Globetrotter, point guard and dribbler. And now he's their head coach. And he knows how to do all the tricks and everything going. There is Jimmy Blacklock doing his thing. And, of course, he was the ultimate showman as part of the Harlem Globetrotters. But he says he gets a lot more joy watching his son go out there on the field and dominate. And, Booger, Ross is a guy who can get some things done.
Without a doubt, Fred, you're talking about a longer, leaner defensive tackle, 6'3", 290 pounds. Wasn't quite in the right system to pass rush at TCU, but boy, can he bend and get underneath guards and centers, and he's gonna have an easy time, I think, when he gets one-on-one with guards in the National Football League because of his agility, sideline to sideline, the way he plays. This is the type of guy from a defensive tackle standpoint that you want to put in the 3 technique, and on pass rush situations, say, hey, big fella, go get the quarterback, and Lewis, he can do it at a high level.
Yeah, you're right, Booger. He should move to that 3 technique. They had him in the 2-eye or the shade over the center a lot of times at TCU, but what he had was tremendous hand use. He was always square. He always beat offensive linemen to the punch with his hands, and he could control them and then explode off a block and make tackles. Now, this is a guy, you're right, when you put him outside shade of the guard and just say, hey, go get the quarterback, that's where you're going to see the best from him, and I think the upside is all there. This is a good pick for him here in the top of the 2nd round.
And there is the celebration as Ross Blacklock is staying close to home, taken by the Houston Texans. And there you see Bill O'Brien, happy. And there you see the sign on his 17-year-old son, Jack. Thank you to all the frontline heroes. And we are excited to see what happens there. Meanwhile, the Indianapolis Colts, Frank Reich and Chris Ballard, the general manager, have made their selection. The pick is in. Let's see who the Colts are going with again.
The Cleveland Browns have traded the 41st pick to the Indianapolis Colts. With the 41st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Jonathan Taylor, running back, Wisconsin.
Jonathan Taylor is a fascinating player. Came out of New Jersey, where he broke another former Badger running back's high school rushing record. He almost went to Harvard as a philosophy major. Instead, he'd have decided to go to Wisconsin, and all he did was rush for over 6,171 yards, and he finished 2019 with 2,003 yards, multiple 2,000-yard rushing seasons, just the 3rd person ever to do that. 3-time All-American. He's a 2-time Doak Award winner, given to the nation's top running back. Again, over 6,000 rushing yards, good for 4th most in FBS history. By the way, he's the only one to have over 6,000 yards only in 3 seasons. And there you see, he rushed for only 1,900 yards in that one other year. So you wonder what happened that one season. The only thing, the knock on him is the carries, Lewis, but he seems healthy. But then there have been some fumbling issues as well.
Yeah, look, this is a guy who right now, Chris Ballard obviously had his eye on, and he said, look, Jonathan Taylor fits what I want to do behind my offensive line, which is absolutely just pound the football north and south and bloody your nose and make you understand what it's like to be in a physical football game. Jonathan Taylor can do it all. He can run inside. He can run outside. He's a guy who has home run speed. He has 10-300-meter speed, and they will address the fumbling issues. He will get that corrected, and as far as his production in the passing game, he has good hands. He will work at that, but he right now, he fits perfectly with what the Indianapolis Colts like to do in the running game and as an offense overall, Mel.
And Lewis, he's got to fix it. It was 18 career fumbles, 15 lost. Now in college, when you're up 35-3 in the 3rd quarter, it doesn't matter. But in the NFL, drives are so critical. You can't give them away, and that's something he's got to fix. Tiki Barber did. In the receiving, he dropped some swing passes. Even against Oregon at Rose Bowl, had a fumble when Troy Dye stripped him, linebacker from Oregon. So great runner, no doubt about it. You'd like to see a little more versatility, though, DJ. And he's got some things to work on. Ball security and catching the football out of the backfield.
Well, he has some history.
Yeah, the burst and the explosiveness is there, Trey. Real quick, I was going to add this real quick, Trey. The burst and the explosiveness is there. He only was in pass pro reps 32 times last year. So they were putting that ball in his belly. He wasn't asked to protect. And Phillip Rivers has always had a back that could do that. So that's another area he's going to have to address.
Real quickly, he has some history at Lucas Oil Stadium. His 2nd to last game there, he rushed for 148 yards and a TD in a loss to Ohio State. And at the Combine there, blazed, leading all running backs with a 4.3940. He's going to have some philosophy lessons about this.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft, presented by Lowe's.
In nearly 100 years serving the military community, we've seen you go through tough times.
And every time, you've shown us you're much tougher.
Your heart, courage, and commitment has always inspired us.
And now it's no different.
So we're here with financial strength, stability, and experience you can depend on.
And the online tools you need.
Because you have always set the highest standard.
And reaching that standard is what we're made for.
Wouldn't it be nice to eat with some of your old friends? Like the Chalupa Supreme, beefy 5-layer burrito, and more. Order ahead and get your $5 Chalupa Cravings box at Taco Bell's contactless drive-thru.
Calling all grassmasters, fescue fanatics, and stewards of St. Augustine to the springtime sprawlers and cultivators of the cul-de-sac. Run with us on a John Deere mower, because this is more than just grass, it's home. Search John Deere mowers for more.
What's up, everybody? Tony Gonzalez here, urging you to stay at home, take care of your family, protect yourself.
We're at the end of another day here at the Cousins household. We're going a little stir crazy at the house.
I wanted to share what I've been up to. Staying home and staying strong, baby.
Just continue to spend time with your family, as I'm doing right now. As we're doing a puzzle, me and my daughter Joy. Say hi.
You miss your friends, you miss your family, just pick up that phone, FaceTime them, call them.
As an NFL community, one of the things we always do, we come up and we come through so many times and we're better for it.
This is the time for all of us to come together as a world, not just America. It's all of us, collectively, like a great team.
I hope you're staying safe, protecting yourselves, protecting your families, protecting the whole world.
And I know we're gonna get through this together.
We're gonna be all right, baby. We're gonna be all right, I promise you that.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life. But with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on, uninterrupted, because you'll have power when you need it the most.
24 days we were without power. I had water, I had ice, I had coffee, I had air conditioner. I was able to stay here because of Generac.
Get the safety, security, and peace of mind your family deserves with a home standby generator from Generac. 8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
Very good product. Very, very good reviews from everybody.
Prices start at just $19.99. And special financing is available with surprisingly affordable monthly payments. Call now to schedule your free in-home assessment, and you'll receive a 7-year extended warranty absolutely free. That's a $695 value. Call or go online today. Power your life with Generac.
All right, glad you're with us on round 2, day 2 of the 2020 NFL Draft. And here we are in the Bud Light Seltzer virtual huddle. Mel Kiper Jr., Louis Riddick, Booger McFarland, and glad to be joined by our great teammates from the NFL Network, Daniel Jeremiah, and a couple of Hall of Famers, quarterback Kurt Warner and Michael Irvin. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts, the Oklahoma quarterback from Alabama to begin, waiting to hear when he will come off the board and what his prospects look like and his unique skill set and how it will translate into the NFL. Meanwhile, we are already on to pick number 10 here. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. There you see Doug Marrone and David Caldwell, the general manager, trying to work things through, and we believe that at this point the pick has come in. What are the Jacksonville Jaguars going to do? We've seen a run on safeties and wide receivers so far. Let's listen in.
With the 42nd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Laviska Shenault, wide receiver, Colorado.
Duval, stand up, because Laviska Shenault is a big play waiting to happen. How do I know that? The first time he ever touched the ball in a game at Colorado as a freshman, he picked up a fumbled punt and took it 55 yards to the house against Texas State as a true freshman. He chose Colorado over offers from Alabama and LSU because he said, I want to go somewhere not on the map already. And the dreadlocks are a tribute to his father, Laviska Shenault Sr. Laviska Sr. died unexpectedly when Laviska was only 10 years old. He slipped on gravel and stumbled into a busy road and was fatally struck by a pickup truck. He was only 39 years old, and Laviska decided to grow out his dreadlocks as a tribute to his late father. And he is a guy who puts in work and has a sturdy build. He didn't just lift with the other receivers, he lifted with the Buffalo offensive linemen. and the strength coach, Michael, made him stop every time he got to squatting 500 pounds. This is a guy who had an injury that slowed him down a little bit, but man, he is explosive.
He is absolutely explosive, Trey, and it's no surprise that he lifts with the offensive lineman, because when you watch this kid play, when he gets the football, it is dangerous to be in his way. He is not one of those receivers that catches the ball and tries to go out of bounds. He will go through you with that football in his hands. He has running back ability from the wide receiver position. You can see him right here, breaking out of tackles, taking it to the house. They call him Visca, but what a great pickup this is, DJ.
Yeah, Irv, this is somebody that they lined up all over the field as a wildcat quarterback, running back, in the slot, out wide at receiver. The competitiveness and the toughness with him is what jumped out to me. And when I talked to his coach, Mel Tucker, he told me about one play against Stanford, 4th and 1. They need a conversion to get in field goal range to try and win that football game. They give him the ball and a handoff. The end is unblocked, and Laviska Shenault just ran him flush over to get the first down. So you're getting a strong, physical, competitive football player.
Well, that's a really interesting draft board we're seeing there from Jacksonville with K'Lavon Chaisson and the cornerback, and now Laviska Shenault as well. So we'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, we are waiting to see what goes on with David Caldwell. He is very, very happy about that pick of Laviska Shenault, giving Gardner Minshew another weapon to throw to. Okay, before we get to our next selection, we see Matt Nagy there, the head coach of the Chicago Bears. That's a lot of stuff on the wall. I'm going to need to know exactly what they're doing there. It seems like that's a theme in some way, shape, or form. And there you see Ryan Pace, the general manager, with his daughter, going over last-minute notes as we try and figure out what the Bears are going to do with their pick here in the second round. Pick number 11 in this round, 43 overall, as we continue our draft coverage. Before we get to our next selection, though, which is going to be from the Chicago Bears, we have a very special message for you from the health specialists at Advocate Healthcare in Chicago, Illinois. These people who are on the front line doing their best to keep us safe as we battle the pandemic of the coronavirus outbreak.
Hello, my name is Linda, and I'm a simulation education specialist with Advocate Healthcare in Chicago. I am proud to be on the front lines of this pandemic, helping our patients beat COVID-19. Team up by doing your part. Stay home and practice social distancing. Go Bears!
6, 5, 4. Come on.
So the pick is in for Chicago, and let's
see. We can't say thank you enough to our medical professionals taking care of our communities in Chicago and all over the country. We are proud to support you and all frontline workers. We will get through this together. Now, with the 43rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Cole Kmet, tight end, Notre Dame.
Well, the tight ends are going to be coming off the board, and no surprise that Cole Kmet is one of the first one. He put on a show at the Combine, ran a 4.740, tying for second with a 10-foot 3-inch broad jump. He said, I want to do the things necessary to show I'm the top tight end at the draft. And he's the latest in a long line of Notre Dame tight ends to make their way in the NFL. He is now the 11th Notre Dame tight end to be taken in the first or second round, and that doesn't even include Mark Bavaro, who went, of course, to the Giants in the 4th round. And the family tree, well, it's strong for the Kmet family. His uncle, Jeff Skanina, was a defensive tackle for many years. In fact, Jeff Skanina was the guy that John Madden used to introduce the term cankles to us. He didn't have ankles, his calves just rolled into his ankles. And his father, Frank, was a defensive end at Purdue from 88 to 91. And this is an athletic guy in Colt Kmet, Mel. He wanted to play and did play for a while, both baseball and football at Notre Dame, before finally settling on football.
He had 8 saves in 2017. He was a four-star recruit, had 4 sacks in high school as well on the defensive side. But he really came on this year. It was his first year as a starter. He was a backup to Alize Mack last year. Had an injury with the broken collarbone in practice, missed 3 games. And he comes back against Georgia. And you're talking about a guy in this game set a record for Notre Dame tight ends. 9 catches, 108 yards, 1 touchdown. That's most by an Irish tight end since 1977. He went on to have some really good games against USC, 6 6 catches. BC, 7 receptions. Stanford, 5 catches. Big kid, 6'5", almost 6'6", 260 pounds. He's an inviting target, really good hands. I tell you, you want to see a few less body catches, a little bit more hands with him because he does have good hands, good body control. He'll block, but it's a work in progress there. So he was clearly, in my opinion, slightly ahead of Adam Troutman from Dayton as the best tight end in this draft, and he will be a weapon for whether it's Nick Foles or Mitchell Trubisky. Cole Kmet's going to be asked to do an awful lot in that Chicago Bears offense.
Well, here's what you need to know. The Bears like tight ends. With this selection, the Bears currently have 10 tight ends on their roster. I'm guessing all 10 won't be there when the season starts. Stay with us. We're rolling on.
At Domino's, we think you and your oven could use a break. Ours are running at 450 degrees, and your pizza stays untouched from here to your table. Use contactless carryout to get 3-topping pizzas on any of Domino's 5 crusts for just $7.99 each.
You know, you've already got a home team. Willie, Lauren, Steven, Deborah. 300,000 members of a team working hard to keep your home working for you. Because home is what unites us.
I'm searching for info on options trading, and look, it feels like I'm just wasting time.
That's why TD Ameritrade designed a first-of-its-kind personalized education center. Their award-winning content is tailored to fit your investing goals and interests, and it learns with you. So as you become smarter, so do its recommendations.
So it's like my streaming service.
But except now you're binge learning.
For a limited time, get up to $800 when you open and fund an account. Call 866-300-9417 or visit tdameritrade.com/learn.
Now, more than ever, her love keeps you centered. Show her how much she means to you with a gift from the Center of Me collection. Happy Mother's Day from Kay.
My time is thin, but so is my lawn.
It's been worn down to ugly, thin grass. Now there's Scott's Thicker Lawn, the 3-in-1 solution with a soil improver to strengthen roots, seed to fill in gaps, and fertilizer to feed. The result? Up to a 50% thicker lawn after just one application.
Now yard time is our time.
This is a Scott's Yard. Download the Scott's My Lawn app for your personalized plan.
When we first opened our doors, it didn't take us long to realize
we weren't in the car business.
At Lexus, we were in the people business.
We needed to be helpful,
respectful,
and compassionate.
To treat people like guests.
It's what we all signed up for.
And now when people need this most, we will do what we've always done.
Take care of people first.
The rest will follow.
There's never been a better time for Millionaire because it's on a whole new night. Woo! This Thursday, will any celeb go all the way?
I don't want to embarrass myself anymore. Can we just go home?
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Thursday on ABC.
Well, we've just observed the critical work the CDC is doing to fight this pandemic. We all need each other now more than ever. So if you're able to help, please do what you can. Visit NFL.com/relief. Well, there is Grant Delpit, the Jim Thorpe Award winner as the best defensive back in college football, still waiting for his name to be called. Also still on the board, Antoine Winfield Jr., the son of Antoine Winfield Sr., who was the 23rd overall pick by the Buffalo Bills in the 1992 draft. We've seen a couple of safeties go off the board, wondering when we'll hear the names of Delpit and Antoine Winfield go off the board as well. And there you see the brainchild of the Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski, the new head coach, Andrew Berry, the vice president and general manager. A lot of Ivy League guys in the front office for the Cleveland Browns. The pick is in right now. Let's find out where Cleveland is going to go with this selection.
Is that part of the dog pound? With the 44th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Grant Delpit, defensive back, LSU.
All right, so Grant Delpit is off the board, and he's finally there. He is going to go to the Cleveland Browns. By the way, this is the second straight year that the Cleveland Browns have taken an LSU defensive back in the second round. They also got corner Greedy Williams last year in the second round. So he's nicknamed Baby Jamal after Jamal Adams, the former LSU and current Jeff safety. And of course, he is a Saints fan. Grant Delpit grew up going to Saints games in the Superdome. Back then, he was recognized as a kid who would repeatedly run up and down the ramps at games. A fellow Saints fan would tell his father that one day Delpit would be playing in the Superdome. So, Boog, what do we think about Grant Delpit here?
You know, if the draft would have been after the 2018 season, Grant Delpit would have been a first-round pick because there's nothing this young man can't do. You want to put him in the slot, have him cover wide receivers or tight ends, he can do that. You want to put him in the half field as a safety, he can do that. A tackling machine, someone that can blitz. But what happened, you come into 2019, missed several tackles, had the high ankle sprain. The tape didn't just look as good as it did in 2019, and Grant Delpit suffered because of that. But I think going to Cleveland, now you got Ward on the outside as a corner, Grant Delpit as a safety. He is a playmaker at the safety position, especially if he's healthy, and he showed you in the national championship game against Clemson his ability, Mel, to come down and blitz. He can be that enforcer type as long as he cleans the tackles up.
Look, that's the whole key. What we saw in 2018 was an all-around safety when he was 100%. Problem was this year he had an ankle injury against Auburn in October. You know, he wasn't close to 100% against Alabama, Ole Miss. He really struggled in that game against the Ole Miss Rebels on November 16th. So you look at Grant Delpit, he didn't have a chance to run that 4.45, 4.48 at the pro day, which would have helped him. So I figure when he's healthy, he was a different player. This year with the ankle, he missed so many tackles. He was not flying around being the player he was in 2018. Do you attribute it all to the ankle? Do you excuse it all away because of the injury? That's why there was a lot of mixed opinion on Grant Delpit going into the draft. Who would have ever thought Lenore Ryan beat LSU in something? They had a first safety taken over Grant Delpit.
Nice line, Mel. By the way, he admitted he was trying too hard at some point to be perfect. But yeah, some of that absolutely was the injuries as well. Okay, now on the clock, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There you see Bruce Arians still chilling on the back porch, and Jason Licht, the general manager. The pick is in. Let's find out where they're going.
With the 45th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Antoine Winfield, defensive back, Minnesota.
Okay, this is kind of strange. We've had 4 safeties go off here in the second round, and they both went in back-to-back picks. The Giants took Xavier McKinney, and then the Patriots took Kyle Duggar. We just had Cleveland take Grant Delpit, and now Antoine Winfield Jr. is off the board. I could be wrong, but I think they're a little happy about this in the Woodlands, Texas, which is where he's from. Again, Antoine Winfield, a unanimous All-American, the 2019 Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year. And as we said, his father was a first-round pick in 1999 by the Buffalo Bills. You take a little of what we see of Antoine Winfield. Daniel Jeremiah, what do you like? Dad first, by the way. This was his dad. Well, by the way, when we rebroadcast the game between the Packers and Vikings, when Brett Favre was with the Vikings, he had an interception. So I just want to throw that out. So now, take us to the Sun, Daniel.
Well, look, Antoine Winfield, his dad was a stud who was an outstanding playmaker, and you see some of those same things from Antoine Winfield Jr. He plays as the high safety. You'll see the range, the instincts, and the ability to drive on the football from the deep hash. He also has the ability to drop down and cover in the nickel and match up man-to-man. But once the ball is up in the air, it is his. He finds a way to attack it, and he's a great finisher. You watch the Fresno State game. At the end of that ball game, he makes a wheeling interception as good as any you'll see in this draft class. And guys, I'll just add this. Vita Vea up the middle, Devin White up the middle, and now you've got Antoine Winfield. That's a good-looking core up the middle of that defense for the Bucs.
What do you think, Lewis?
Well, I'm sorry, man. Look, I'll just tell you this. He's one of my favorite players because of the positional versatility. Look, we've already hit on the fact that he can play free safety, strong safety. He can play the nickel linebacker. He can play the dime linebacker. He can play the star or the money, as they call it, down front. And he does have tremendous ball skills. The defensive back coaches down there in Tampa Bay, he has some great ones he's going to learn from. Todd Bowles, Nick Rapone, Kevin Ross. These guys all know how to coach up defensive back play. And this kid is born to play the position.
And then you saw, of course, who they took in the first round, Tristan Wirfs. Let's not forget they also happened to pick up, Rob Gronkowski in the pre-draft process. Okay, now it's time for the Denver Broncos and find out where they go.
With the 46th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select KJ Hamler, wide receiver, Penn State.
Okay, they are clearly surrounding their quarterback, Drew Lock, who they took in the second round last year out of Missouri, with some weapons. They got Jerry Jeudy in the first round, and now, Lewis, they get KJ Hamler, who all he did his freshman year break Saquon Barkley's all-purpose yardage mark. This guy is a big play waiting to happen.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, him and Jerry Jeudy together now, look out, AFC West. Now the Denver Broncos have got some speed, and they are on the map as far as big play-making ability. You see it here. Watch him just avoid the second-level reroute and then sprint down to the middle of the field and catch this touchdown pass, right in front of the goalpost. The kid has 4.27 speed, and he's not just an inside player. He can line up outside, too. But you see what he does here on the slot fade and how he just separates. It's just ridiculous. And his run after the catch skills are something to behold. These slot fades that you see him running from the inside position and running to the back pylon, he's almost virtually uncoverable on those. And the catch and run, this is where him and Jerry Jeudy are just going to be a nightmare for the AFC West.
Absolutely. The one thing he's going to have to work on, his 9 drops in 2019 tied for the 12th most in the FBS, according to ESPN stats and information. And Hamler says, I'm not proud on it, but it's something to work. John Elway seems happy. As a former quarterback, he has to love the first 2 picks he's gotten in this draft. Even the defensive side, head coach Vic Fangio is loving the weapons Drew Lock is going to have to throw to. Stay with us.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft, presented by Lowe's.
FX on Hulu, the pure premium brand. Free with every Hulu subscription. Over 40 original series. Over 1,400 episodes. The award-winning collection. And exclusive FX originals. Only on Hulu. FX on Hulu.
Oh, hey there. Didn't see you there. I'm George Kittle, and I'm here to bring you my top tips for the NFL Draft. We're going to be covering topics like acceptance speeches, awkward hugs, are sweatpants okay? This is a big moment, but you're in good hands. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the biggest moment of your life. Join Bud Light Seltzer in supporting the NFL Draft-a-thon for COVID-19 relief.
Daisy, 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 Daisy.
Daisy, Marc Jacobs. At Macy's, the fragrance destination.
For now, we're all living a new normal. Businesses are closing. Living rooms are now offices and schools. Our world is suddenly different, but one thing stays the same. State Farm is there. To any of our customers currently facing financial burdens, call your State Farm agent because we're here to help make this new normal feel just a little more normal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I'm sorry, folks. We are doing a quick switch right now because the Seahawks have traded up. Let me get my co-hosts here. 1 second. Dang. I'm not spoiling it. I'm not going to spoil the pick. Brian, you there? Oh, man. Seattle has traded up to 48. Live chat channel right now is just going crazy. I'm sorry. I'm not spoiling. I'm actually going to see if I can. I don't want to look at your chat right now.
All right.
There you are. What's up?
Hey, dude. What happened? What do we do?
Seahawks traded up to pick. The Jets have traded out, so the Seahawks.
Well, should we? We don't want to tip, right? We don't.
No, we're not tipping.
Don't tip. Don't you dare tip.
This is
okay. Hold on. No, this is important though. The Seahawks traded 59 and 101 for 48.
Oh man, this is gonna be a running back. This is happening.
No, it's not.
It's happening. This is happening.
Don't. It can't.
Yeah, get ready.
Brian, can you put us on gallery view, please?
No. I don't take your orders, dude.
Brian, you're sad because you know it's true.
All right. So the Falcons are on the clock, yes? So
we traded from 59 to 48. That's 310 to 420. So they got to make 110 points, and they traded 101 to do it. So, I mean, Seattle comes out a tiny shade ahead on this. It's 406 to 420. So, you know, that's the 190th pick, early sixth round pick advantage for Seattle using the old trade chart. New trade charts are typically much less favorable on trades up. So I expect a lot of people to say this is very bad.
Okay, Marlon Davidson was the pick to Atlanta.
So Josh Jones would be my hope here.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Jones is one. Aquara is one. Raekwon.
I'd be excited about Aquara.
Huh?
I'd be excited about Aquara.
Yeah.
Oh, the pass rusher? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, here's who I think they're gonna pick. Where is he?
Denzel Mims is one.
He's a defensive end. I think they're gonna pick Bradley Anae.
Anae? Oh God.
That's who I think they're gonna pick.
Oh, that would bum me out.
That's who I think they're gonna pick. I'm calling that.
We can talk more about Brooks.
The Seahawks pick is in.
Holy shit. Jeff's just gonna miss this entire thing.
He's gonna miss it. I mean, I went down to Saracen to make dinner because I'm like, I got time.
Zach Bond, I guess. I mean, the good thing is they traded up with 3 running backs on the board, right? I mean, Moss, Dobbins, and Dillon, and some others. So you would think that they wouldn't trade up for a position where there's some depth still. Now, maybe they just love one of these guys and think they won't last.
Who would you be super upset for it to be? Like, what position? What position? Running back, obviously, you guys would be upset. Who else? What other position?
Tight end.
Maybe.
Tight end.
But what if it's
really
another linebacker?
Huh?
You'd be upset about if it's a linebacker, wouldn't you?
Of course, yeah.
Oh yeah, this point.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Don't tip it. Don't tip it.
Oh, all All right.
How long did it take Jeff to run downstairs?
Have you guys seen the pick?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Of course. Of course he's a Senior Bowl participant.
They're getting a little Ruscally on this, huh? Like they like their
Okay, hold on.
There was hype around them liking him. Like in the last couple of days. I think Pauline, maybe was it Tony Pauline that said he was good. This is cool. I am happy with this. I've watched only a tiny bit of him, but like he's your speed rusher type dude.
Sports Illustrated projected him to the Seahawks in the first round.
Interesting.
That's a nice little bend.
Yeah. Looks light, but I mean, he is what he is.
He's not that fast. Does not seem that twitchy.
Yeah, it's hard to say with some of the athleticism stuff at that position. Like 3-cone's important, but then like I think Yannick had a terrible 3-cone.
All right, defense.
A redshirt senior though. They love their olds. They're getting super Ruscally and as this goes on. They like their choir boys. They like their 4-year starters or like, the guys, all this Senior Bowl participants. Nagy's in their ear.
All right, Jeff's in. I think Schneider should maybe avoid having any sort of information showing on his desk this time, maybe.
I mean, it's
That'd
a
be
position of need. So that's not a bad thing, right?
No, this is fine. I mean, he's old. That's a bummer.
I mean, not really though. He just turned 23.
That's
like 3 weeks ago.
Nathan is always like, yeah, no, here's what's wrong. Here's why.
No, I mean, just like this isn't like a. No. It's I like it. It's good. But I mean, like, I don't know. There are things that aren't like wonderful about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find more information on him. Let's see where Pro Football Focus had him.
PFF did not have him in their next 10, from what I can tell.
Do you want me to read the draft profile on him? It's like a paragraph long.
From where?
NFL.com.
Yeah, go ahead.
So he's a powerful edge defender for a 3-4 or a 4-3 fronts with 5-star traits, but 3-star skill level at this point. He has the strength and leverage to anchor and stand his ground at the point of attack, but he needs to transform from a set it and forget it roadblock into a shed and tackle playmaker. His rush lacks instincts and counters, but he has shown the ability to explode and bend the edge sharply, which will get the attention of NFL evaluators. The toolbox has plenty in it, but additional development as a pass rusher might be the difference between functional backup or a dangerous starter. Has a lot of strengths. Holds his own at point of attack. His real weaknesses are rarely times up snap and is slow off the ball. Oh, great. That's wonderful.
I mean, timing your snap up, though, a lot of time that's just what the coach they're asking to do.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the.
Well, let me give you the Pro Football Focus. By the way, he's ranked 63. So I think he was ranked right around where Brooks was ranked as well. He was, they had Chason ranked 46th. And Taylor was next after Chason. They had Taylor above Gross Matos, who they had at 68. And what they have written about him, first of all, his grades went from 64 2017 to 78 2018 to 80 in 2019. His snaps went up from 483 all the way to 634 in his final year. So as a senior defensive end, he finished with 60 tackles, 19 tackles for loss, and 11 sacks. He played both ways as a senior, and as a receiver, he caught 29 passes for 356 yards and 5 touchdowns. What if they're going to play him at receiver?
Wait, what? He played receiver in high school or what?
That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, high school. So Taylor increased his snap count each of his 5 years at Tennessee. After recording 53 total pressures from 2016 to 2018, he recorded 44 as a senior alone. That's a pretty big jump. His pass rushing grade of 87 ranked 18th among draft eligible edge defenders who played at least 100 snaps in 2019. The progression over his college career bodes well as he heads to the NFL. He plays with consistent leverage versus run and pass, recorded 20 total stops on the season. Stops, for those that don't follow, is a PFF thing related to run defense, basically at or behind the line of scrimmage.
Do we know the trade yet?
Yeah,
Yes.
101.
101?
I gotta say, like, so, and if you look at the old trade chart, they come out, just a tiny bit ahead on that trade. The player seems fine. Like, I think cool. It's, we all want him to get a pass rusher. Like, it looks like he's interesting. I think he complements like a Clowney type or a Green and Collier types pretty well, right? He's more of the Averill to their Bennett or whatever. They better have nailed this though to trade up to get him.
Seriously.
Like they took
That's
him
what
over
shocked me.
Akbara. They took him over Uche or Uchi, or however you say his name, the guy out of Michigan, right? They jumped up to take him over some other guys and other guys too, like Greenard and stuff that are maybe going to go a little bit later. We'll see. So Zuniga is a guy like so I think the pick is fine, the player is fine. I think again process is a little questionable.
Yeah, I think this is what happens when the Seahawks aren't able to trade down in the first round. Is Schneider gets worried about the fact they have a big need, a huge need at defensive end, and he likes to take the best of the worst positions in the first or early second round. And when he couldn't do that, I think he panicked a little bit to jump up to make sure he got the guy they feel good about. I got to be honest, like, I'm fine with the pick. I don't feel any better about the Seahawks pass rush because they drafted this guy.
Well, you shouldn't. I mean, that probably should have been your reaction no matter who they drafted. Especially
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. Like, that's what makes this draft really tough, I think, for the Seahawks, is that where they have the biggest need, I don't think they're going to be able to have a real impact, on the pass rush side. I kind of, if anything, I was hoping that they would go and find a defensive tackle. I actually liked Blacklock. I actually thought he was an interesting player, and I would have been happier if they had found a way to get him. Part of me wonders if once he went off the board, if the Seahawks, Marlon Davidson, if they just decided like, okay, we got to get our guy or a guy.
But there are other guys still though, so that's the thing. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of defensive tackles.
this wasn't they jumped up and got a guy at the end of a run or something. They went and like Davidson went in front of him, but Davidson's a different player than he is. I mean, Davidson's
Oh, right. No. Well, they got needs at defensive tackle and defensive end.
Yeah.
That's clear.
Yeah, Davidson's more of a 5-tech.
Yeah, 5-tech or maybe even slide inside and play defensive tackle.
Right.
So what did they give up for it again? Was it
101.
101? Okay.
Their third round comp.
Okay.
Wow. That's
a
So that
lot.
Earl?
That's a
Earl.
lot.
Yeah, that's a pricey pick.
That's really that's tough. I don't think I like that.
It's
just gotta
fine
be
if
right.
they nail it.
This is
Yeah,
the thing
nail
with
it,
this
but
is what
that-
with yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
This is truly the anti-John Schneider draft. They didn't trade down. They gave up a comp pick to move up for. Ooh, they got to nail that pick. That's a tough one.
And they have been successful with this in the past. They traded up and got Jaron Reed. They traded up and got Tyler Lockett. They traded up and they got DK Metcalf. So their track record here is good. I think Lockett and Metcalf had some clear things that made them special.
Yep.
That you would want to go get them. From the little I've seen of is it Taylor?
Taylor. Yep.
Forgot his name. I don't know. I see special, but I wouldn't have told you that Reed was special either. And he's turned out to be a guy paid a lot of money to keep around on a second contract. So
I think I think I'm right there with you, Nathan, actually. I mean, when they traded up to get Lockett, you could see it right away, what he brought to the table. I think DK, it's not hard to understand what he brings to the table. I don't see like first blush, like difference maker with Taylor. He seems like a solid defensive end prospect, but I don't see he doesn't look like he's got super twitchy upside or anything like that, or big explosiveness like, Frank Clark had as just a power rusher. But I hope I'm wrong. And it's a good point about they do have a good track record. So giving up a 3rd round pick, I think that almost guarantees that they are going to move down from their 2nd round pick.
54, right?
Yeah. I can't imagine them staying put. He's going to want to add, even if they only get another 5th or 4th or 6th out of it. At this point, they've got 4 more picks in this entire draft. Can you imagine John Schneider coming out of this draft with 6 players?
Unless they're just punting it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we talked about this a lot. Like, do they just not want to mess around with this draft and all the uncertainty on it? And their comments last night pointed to that a little bit. They talked a lot about, I mean, and it's not fair to just paint Brooks as this is the only good thing about him, but they talked a lot about getting a guy that they felt was a professional and getting a guy that they were confident would show up and be ready to work and know how to play the position, right? Like, experience played a part in what they liked about Brooks, right? So that if that's what they're already thinking, right, with their 1st round pick, is how do we get a guy that we just don't have to worry about and that can just maybe play football on a short off season, then yeah, maybe they're just not into this draft this year.
Yeah, I remember saying in the chat the other day, I said there's 2 schools of thought around the league. Some teams believe you trade back as much as possible or trade it to next year. And I said there's a handful of teams that believe you load up on top 90 picks and try to crush UDFA, because there's going to be guys who probably wouldn't usually fall there because of all the questions medically or not doing the interviews. And Seattle's had a lot of success UDFA. I didn't think they'd be one of those teams just because of their trade back. But if they're giving up a 3rd rounder and they're willing to move up and just come out with lesser picks, maybe they're in that group. I wouldn't have guessed that going in.
All right, guys, I'm going to go eat my dinner.
What do you want to jump? If you want. Okay, so jump back in.
Yeah, we'll jump back on in a bit. All right. Are we sharing the screen and everything still, or does that need to happen?
Evan, I'll have to let him back in. You guys can all stay in and just mute your video. Turn your video off.
Cool.
All right, Evan, we're going to go back. I'm going to go eat if you want to share this chat again.
Sure, we'll do.
Center Brian Elm, the first active player in the NFL that we know of that was diagnosed with COVID-19. Meanwhile, we are looking at the situation here for the Los Angeles Rams. We're still waiting on Jacob Eason and Jake Fromm. These two, of course, are tied together from their time in Georgia. Kurt, what are we thinking about these two quarterbacks?
Well, it's a contrasting in style between these two guys, Trey. You got Jacob Eason, who's the big, strong-arm guy that can really push the ball down the field, and you see some really incredible moments from him with that big arm. And then you have Jake Fromm, who's not the most talented physically, but a really smart quarterback, a winner, 35-7 in his 3 years starting at Georgia. So contrasting styles. I'm interested to see if there's a team that has fallen in love with either one of these guys. Not a lot of dire need at the quarterback position around the league. New England, Jacksonville, a couple young quarterback rooms, but do they go and add another young guy to it, or do they go and get one of those veteran guys like a Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, or maybe even an Andy Dalton that's out there? So fascinated to see where these two guys go in the next couple rounds.
I'm also fascinated to see sort of the same grass pattern behind Sean McVay in his patio that we saw with Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona. May have had the same landscaper from what we're able to pick up here. Meanwhile, it is the Rams that are on the clock. Let's find out where the Rams are going with their pick here in the second round.
Come on, Ram fans. Let's go. With the 57th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Van Jefferson, wide receiver, Florida.
Well, it certainly seems like we have a ton of draftees this year with NFL lineage. He's from Brentwood, Tennessee, started his career at Ole Miss, then transferred to Florida. But by the way, father, Sean, wide receiver for 13 years in the NFL from 1991 to 2003 and has played in 2 Super Bowls. And Sean is currently the wide receiver coach for the New York Jets. And there is Sean with Van, the two of them together, watching him grow up and play through the years. So there is football lineage all the way around, as Van Jefferson is now a member of the Los Angeles Rams. And again, Sean Jefferson played for 13 seasons in the NFL, and now Van's going to try and do that. And here you see Sean catching and passing, feeding, among others, Junior Seau to the end zone for the score, DJ. What do we think about Van?
I think he's one of the elite route runners in this draft class, Trey.
Junior Seau.
Everybody around the league seemed to be targeting in that 3rd round range, and anytime that happens, you know somebody's going to go ahead and do it in the 2nd round. He's creative in his release off the line of scrimmage. He's polished at the top of his rush, or at the top of the route, and he's got incredibly strong hands. Also was a gunner on punt. He's very tough. I thought he compared to Cooper Kupp. That's who I compared him through the entire process, and now he's got Cooper Kupp as a teammate. Pristine route runner here, Michael.
Yeah, and DJ, I love this kid too. I love his father. He's a very good friend of mine. So you know what you're talking about is this kid's a technician in the game of football. It's not just about knowing how to get open. It's also about knowing when to be open. He's very, very good at that. A great pickup for this football team.
Well, listen, with Van Jefferson off the board, he's now the 12th wide receiver taken in this year's draft, tying with 2014 for the most wide receivers in the first 2 rounds in common draft history. So that means if Mike Zimmer, the Vikes head coach, or Rick Spielman, the Vikes general manager, or any of these other final few picks in the 2nd round land on a wide receiver, this would be the most prolific first 2 wide receiver rounds in NFL draft history. Let's see what the Vikings do.
Go! With the 58th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Ezra Cleveland, tackle, Boise State.
Well, pretty much the opposite of the wide receiver. It is an offensive lineman, and it is Ezra Cleveland. And I'm going to tell you something that's significant as he just got the news. The former Boise State left tackle started the last 3 seasons for the Broncos. And by the way, why is this important? Well, the last 5 multi-year starters at left tackle for Boise State were all NFL draftees and started in the league several years. He was a big kid. How big? He was born 3 weeks early. and he weighed 11 pounds at birth. They said if he'd gone to term, he would have been a 15-pound baby. He's a big baby, and now the Vikings are hoping he's a big player, Lewis, for them.
Yeah, look, he is. He's 6'6", 311 pounds, ran 4.93 in the 40. Now, you would like for him to play that way, the way he tests. He doesn't always play that way, but look, he's young and he's developing there on the left side. He's a guy who's got good technique. When he keeps his pads down, you see right here what can happen. He can take defensive ends who line up in a 6 technique over him or in a 5 technique over him and just put them on the ground. He's a guy who, when you climbs up on the second level, he can use that big body to shield second level defenders out of the way, and he's effective in that way as well. When he gets out on the perimeter, look, he has the athleticism to chase people down and make those kind of second level blocks out there in space on jet sweeps and on screens and on second level runs. He just needs to tie it all together, play a little bit stronger, play with more consistent pad level, but he's somebody who people told me his stock was rising as the draft approached.
Well, he is off the board now in Minnesota. An uncle of his said that Ezra would grow up to be 6'4" and 250 pounds. Let's just say he undershot that because he ended up at 6'6", 311 pounds. In other words, he's added 300 pounds since birth. Stay with us.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft, presented by Lowe's.
I know for every pizza I deliver, that's a trip that family doesn't have to take out of their house. It relieves some stress off of me to let me know that I'm doing something good for the community, not just Papa John's.
I wanted more from my COPD medicine. That's why I've got the power of 1, 2, 3 medicines with Trelegy.
The only FDA-approved once daily 3-in-1 COPD treatment.
Trelegy, the power of 1, 2, 3. Trelegy, 1, 2, 3. Trelegy.
With Trelegy and the power of 1, 2, 3, I'm breathing better. Trelegy works 3 ways to open airways, keep them open, and reduce inflammation for 24 hours of better breathing.
Trelegy won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Trelegy is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Do not take Trelegy more than prescribed. Trelegy may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
Think your COPD medicine is doing enough? Maybe you should think again.
Ask your doctor about once daily Trelegy and the power of 1, 2, 3.
Trelegy, 1, 2, 3.
Save at Trelegy.com.
Every financial plan needs a CFP professional. Confident financial plans, calming financial plans, complete financial plans. They're all possible with a CFP professional. Find yours at letsmakeaplan.org.
Hold my pouch. Trust us. Us kids are ready to take things into our own hands. Don't think so? Hold my pouch.
Prince Tega made a great sacrifice moving away from his home in pursuit of his dreams. And now that's about to pay off.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life. But with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on, uninterrupted, because you'll have power when you need it the most.
24 days we were without power. I had water, I had ice, I had coffee, I had air conditioner. I was able to stay here because of the Generac.
Get the safety, security, and peace of mind your family deserves with a home standby generator from Generac. 8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
Very good product. Very, very good reviews from everybody.
Prices start at just $19.99. And special financing is available with surprisingly affordable monthly payments. Call now to schedule your free in-home assessment, and you'll receive a 7-year extended warranty absolutely free. That's a $695 value. Call or go online today. Power your life with Generac.
Welcome back to the 2020 Draft Round 2, closing out the second round here with just a few picks left. Mel, give me your best available players out there, brought to you by Lowe's.
Well, you look at those wide receivers, and you see a group there. Denzel Mims coming out of Baylor with all that talent, freakish talent. Devin Duvernay, all that production in the slot for Texas. And Mr. Versatility, running back, wide receiver, kick returner, Antonio Gibson from Memphis. And, of course, Brian Edwards, South Carolina wide receiver. Had some injury issues, but I tell you, he can get it done. He is a very underrated wideout. Lynn Bowden Jr. had to play quarterback and did a great job. Before that, he looked like Antoine Randall as a receiver, slot guy, return man. Love Lynn Bowden Jr. To go and do what he did this year, selfless play quarterback and win football games, and really save that Kentucky season. Pretty remarkable what Lynn Bowden Jr. accomplished.
He's actually fascinating, and where you could play him and the things you could do, because he went back to quarterback at Kentucky and what he did in high school. He put up incredible numbers this year for Kentucky. Meanwhile, there's Adam Gase, the Jets head coach, and Joe Douglas. Hey, say hi. We're all good. We're happy to have you. This is part of the draft in 2020. We're excited to see families working together. And then there's Joe Douglas, hard at work with 5 screens on him. Where will the Jets go? They got their big offensive tackle, Mekhi Becton, and by big, I do mean big, 6'7", 365 pounds in the first round. So what are they going to do here with pick number 59? Overall in the second round, the 27th pick in the draft. Let's find out together as Roger Goodell is ready to make the announcement on what the Jets, Adam Gase, and Joe Douglas are going to do.
Come on, Jet fans. I haven't heard any Jet boos. Let's go. Come on, let's go. That's Jet fans. That's sweet. With the New York Jets pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Jets select Denzel Mims, wide receiver, Baylor.
The Baylor Bear is finally off the board. Denzel Mims is going to be the new target for Sam Darnold to throw to. Remember, they lost Robbie Anderson, their big play wide receiver, in free agency. Again, this is a guy who is fast. That 4.3, 840 was third most among wide receivers. Set all kinds of records at Baylor. Michael Irvin, this is a guy who can make every catch imaginable.
Yes, he can, Trey, and you're right. You're absolutely right. I talked to Robbie Anderson. He did not want to leave New York, but he's very happy to be in Carolina with Bridgewater. But they need to replace that speed, that production that he gave him. I know they signed my old roommate's son, Brashard Perriman, but this is added speed, added depth for them in the wide receiver position. Denzel Mims, a 4.38 40. This kid can absolutely run. I got a chance to watch him a lot. He's right up the street from me here in Baylor. He's going to be a great pickup for the Jets.
Yeah, and Michael, he's not asked to run all the routes on the route tree there in that Baylor offense, but what you see is somebody that can win at the line of scrimmage and somebody that makes some unbelievably acrobatic catches down the field. So he's going to win on those contested 50-50 balls as we're watching on the highlights right here. That's going to be a big benefit for Sam Darnold. You see him go big, powerful offensive lineman to protect Sam Darnold in the first round. Now they give him a big weapon on the outside. So Joe Douglas doing some work here for the New York Jets.
Mel, what do you think?
Well, look at Mims. I think you look at a guy who still is a little raw. When you come out of Baylor's offense, it may take a year to transition, but the talent that he possesses is rare. To have a kid with that kind of catch radius, that kind of arm length. You're talking about a guy almost 6'3", 210 pounds. Yeah, vertical jump over 38, 4.38 speed. The production's there. The hands are there. It's basically just adjusting to an NFL system and running the kind of routes, being precise, getting that timing down with Sam Darnold, with quarterback with the Jets.
But listen, he had 2 seasons with at least 1,000 receiving yards from Matt Rule at Baylor, so we'll see what happens there. The chair that is Bill Belichick's representation and Nick Caserio, the director of player personnel, they've made a trade. They have moved up. So what will Bill Belichick and Nick Caserio get together and get done? We'll figure this out because we're still trying to figure out what they're going to do at the quarterback position. I don't know if you heard, but this offseason, Tom Brady is not there anymore. He is now a member of the Tampa Bay Bucks. So the pick is in for the New England Patriots, and we're going to figure out in just a few moments what's going on there. And now we believe we have everything squared away. Let's go find out what the Patriots are doing at pick 60.
The Baltimore Ravens have traded the 60th pick to the New England Patriots. With the 60th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Josh Uche, linebacker, Michigan.
So Josh Uche, linebacker from Michigan, is now off the board. And if you think about it, this is a very, very Patriot kind of pick, as everybody is happy in Miami, Florida for Josh Uche and where he's going. Hometown of Miami. His father emigrated here from Nigeria. He didn't start a game until his senior year at Michigan. In fact, another linebacker that's draftable at Michigan, Khaleke Hudson, every once in a while would come off the field, Lewis, just to get Uche on the field, and now he's off the board first.
But you're right, this is the typical New England Patriot pick, a guy who can play multiple positions. As a linebacker, he can play on the line of scrimmage and rush the passer. He can stack off the ball and play in a 4-3. He can stack off the ball and play a 3-4. But the thing he can really do is get after the passer, because he's got tremendous first step quickness, and then he's got power. And he's got power to rush the passer, power to stand up tight ends and offensive tackles in the run game, and he has got an instinctive nose for the football. He always seems to be around the ball, never gives up. He's got tremendous speed. He's got tremendous tackling ability, strong upper body. He's just one of those guys who you just wonder, why didn't he play even more for the Michigan Wolverines? He should have never come off the field, because he's that multi-positional player that Bill Belichick is going to find a way to turn into a superstar.
Yeah, he broke out this senior season. Team high 8.5 sacks and 11.5 sacks for loss. Josh Uche is good. Remember, they lost a lot of defensive players in free agency. Nick Caserio getting the kind of player that the Patriots have been very effective in using over the years. Hi, Bill. Bill made a catch.
We're just in unprecedented times right now. You got to make the most of what you have, go to work.
The situation, it is what it is.
The mindset going into the draft hasn't changed. Come out on the other side of this thing a better version of you.
The biggest thing is just taking steps every day, improving every day.
In this world where people are staying at home, many of life's moments are being put on hold. At Carvana, we understand that for some, getting a car just can't wait. To help, we're giving our customers up to 90 days to make their first payment. Shop online from the comfort of your couch and get your car with touchless delivery to keep you safe. And for even greater peace of mind, all Carvana cars come with a 7-day return policy. So if you need to keep moving, we're here for you. At Carvana, the safer way to buy a car.
You know how you cook the patty and you slap that cheese on there and it just all comes together. Can't forget about the bacon.
I taste the sweetness.
I taste the tangy of it. Oh, you want to try that?
Yes. Sweet and tangy bacon slinger.
Yeah, I'm married. Doesn't matter. You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Hey, do they ever ask you what you're wearing?
Yeah.
Red sweater, button-down shirt. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
While we're all home, social distancing, Meals on Wheels volunteers are on the front lines across every community. responding to older Americans who are most in need, delivering food and a reassurance to millions of seniors that they are not alone right now. Because of the tireless commitment of these heroes everywhere, humanity is winning. Support Meals on Wheels now by donating at nfl.com/relief.
And there you see our message to people as they drive by our campus here in Bristol. We are all in this together. Help us make a difference now. Huddle up for COVID-19 relief efforts and join players, teams, fans, and communities around the country in the NFL Draft-a-thon. If we unite behind this cause, we can provide relief for those significantly impacted by the pandemic. Every dollar counts. Do what you can when you can. Visit nfl.com/relief to donate now. Well, the Tennessee Titans are back on the clock, and I'm a little disappointed in what I see behind Mike Vrabel, the head coach, because his setup in his house last year.
All right, folks. Give me a sec to turn down this sound. We got the boys hopping back on in a second. Christian Fulton. Wow. Seahawks are 3 picks away. Green Bay's on the clock. Josh Jones is still available. Aguara is still available. What's up, Ryan?
Dude.
I was just talking to myself.
They're not going to draft Josh Jones, man. Give it up. Not going to happen.
Why are they not going to? Do they not like their quarterback? Do they not like Russell Wilson living?
When have they ever drafted a pass protecting offensive tackle?
Brian, I'm choosing optimism and hope that they are changing their course.
I mean, the best case I could make would be Jamarco Jones.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Christian Fulton, I don't know if you saw that. Went to the Titans. I still can't get over that Jalen Hurts pick by the Eagles.
Why? To me, that makes sense, man. They could totally have.
For a second round pick.
Last year was Baltimore's running game from their quarterback, and then you've got Taysom Hill, who is also like a huge valuable weapon, and you got Carson Wentz, whose strongest attribute is his nose. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense. He could be a significant part of their offense.
It's just a heavy price to pay, I think.
A second rounder?
Yeah, wasn't it like mid to high second?
Yeah.
Just feels steep.
All right. So the Seahawks are going to trade this pick, right? Like, we understand that. So I can't imagine them getting anything better than a 4th to trade back. That would be surprising.
Depends where they trade, I guess.
Well, to go from the last pick in the 2nd and to pick up another 3rd,
yeah,
they have to maybe do some like multiple pick kind of thing.
Or they just don't like this draft. They're gonna make a couple high picks and they're gonna get the hell out.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What?
Oh my God.
What? Oh, the Packers picked
Dillon just went.
AJ Dillon. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Oh my God.
You guys are this is really breaking your brain that everyone's taking running backs.
I mean, I'm stoked about this. This is amazing.
Who was that? Green Bay?
Yeah.
They've taken Jordan Love and Dillon.
That's so bad.
Oh man, yeah, that is
Backfield
rough.
of the future.
And they're like they're a fraudulent team.
And didn't they have a Pro Bowl running back last year that had led the league in touchdowns?
That's the thing. They have a good running back core. I mean, don't they?
Aaron Jones.
All running backs are the same, so sure.
And they've lost Bulaga.
God damn you, Nathan.
Wow, Dylan went in the second round and it wasn't Seattle.
Yeah, this draft, if nothing else, is really challenging this notion that the Seahawks are somehow stupider than everybody else. Like, there's a lot of things that people hold up as evidence of Pete Carroll and John Schneider being, you know, old school, not able to get with the flow. And I think we've seen Baltimore, Green
Kansas
Bay,
City.
Los Angeles Rams, all taking running backs.
Now, I don't know how smart anyone thinks the Packers are necessarily.
You picked one out of the three.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
The
And
Chiefs,
I think
didn't the Chiefs take a running back too?
They did.
First
They
round,
did the
Chiefs took
first.
one.
No, you picked him.
Yeah. Andy Reid apparently thinks he's better than Brian Westbrook, so got that going for him.
He's a passing game running back, though. He's not a.
Oh, is he?
Edwards Hilaire. He's not a run between the tackles guy.
That's
But I mean, in
interesting.
fairness, we all killed Shoddy for saying he wanted to get the ball to running backs last year. So
Yeah, fair.
I would say that because other teams are also dumb does not make the Seahawks not dumb. But yes, it's been a disappointing day in that respect.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, not that disappointing. Like, I'm glad that other teams are still not fully optimized here.
all right. So guys, the pick is in for Kansas City. That means the Seahawks are on the clock. I will tell you, I would like to see them pick Julian Okwara. I would like to see him double up at the defensive end position.
Derek has
probably be
finally beaten us all down, and we're all Aquara stands now.
You've talked me into it.
Totally. He's been on it for such a long time, and I respect that. I mean, you know, if you ended up with two defensive ends, so the way I would think about that is they didn't go free agent. They didn't go to be able to solve that, but maybe similar to Green Bay last year, who got two vet defensive line pass rushers. Maybe the Seahawks double up, get a couple of defensive line pass rushers in this draft, and they grow. Maybe they grow together. You know,
That could work with the draft clue too, right? The Rise of Skywalker, which is maybe the trade up, but the scene is a whole bunch of people show up to help, right? And this defense needs a whole bunch of people to show up to help. So maybe they're just all
right,
defense all day.
Who do you guys want to, like, if there's not a specific person, is there a specific position you're hoping called? Is it wide receiver? You guys all hoping for a wide receiver?
Josh Jones. I want him. Zach Moss is still available, boys.
Oh boy.
That would be the most disappointing. That would be very disappointing.
That would be.
Jeff, who do you want to see it here and pick?
I'd like to see them take Brian Edwards, the receiver. Now they don't have a third round pick. They've had such a good history with fourth round receivers. I wrote about all those guys this morning. It's a pretty ugly lineup, and with no third rounder now, I would love Josh Jones, obviously, but there's something that everyone's passing on him for. I don't know what it is, but
is it medical?
Oh, Derek just said there's a trade down.
Oh, what's the trade?
I don't know. Derek just said Seahawks trade down on the Slack chat. Well, Brian was right.
It was 100% chance.
Okay, so where do you think? They moved down, Nathan?
They got. They only slid back 5 spots and they got pick 148.
148.
So they trade 64 for pick 69 and pick 148.
Nice.
148.
Carolina.
Yeah. That's a good move.
That's like decent value too. It seems like.
It's a 5th round pick.
Yeah, that's for moving down 5 spots. That's good.
Yeah.
It's a free pick.
Yeah. All right.
They got 148.
Early 5th.
They come out 6 points ahead on the old JJ trade chart.
If only that counted in the playoffs.
They got Dunbar for free.
Hey, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, with the way that Pete starts out playoff games, he does need to get spot like a touchdown at least.
So what do you want? Do you guys want to jump back on or just go until 69?
Let's just stay on if you guys are
Jeff,
cool
you might want to rephrase that.
Jeff, God. Real Hawks Talk after dark.
It's uncomfortable. You're always taking it there, Jeff.
69.
So, how long? Oh, Seahawks trade to the Panthers. Okay.
So last year they traded with the Panthers to get up and get DK, right?
The Panthers take linebacker Willie Gay Jr.
Who did the Chiefs take?
Oh no, sorry. The Chiefs picked Willie Gay Jr.
Well, that's a good pick.
He injured his own quarterback in a fight before the Music City Bowl. I miss college football.
I miss college as a parent of a collegian. So where?
Yeah, so Carolina got, per the Rich Hill chart, 270 in value. We got 277, so +7.
And where did they come out on that Taylor trade?
Oh God. I thought actually they came out on top even from what Nathan said. Well,
they can move back again. It wouldn't even surprise me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they move back again.
Yeah. So do you guys like the Taylor pick? Is it growing on you?
I'll tell you what I like about it. I like that he seems like he's got a ton of, he's a little arrogant. Like he's got a little dog in him. And like Rasheem Green, tons of talent when he came out, young, like a lot of chance to develop, but the guy's quiet as a mouse. So I think they need more dog on their defense, and he seems like he's got a little bit of that. I think Brooks does too. I think both.
Yeah,
of them.
both picks have.
I like that aspect of it.
They missed that the last few years. They were a very nice team last year.
So as it stands right now, Seattle has one pick in the third round, 69, which they just got from the Panthers. They have 2 4th-round picks, 133 and 144, a 5th-round pick, 148, and a 6th-round pick, 214.
I think you're right, Jeff. I think if there's any chance they can of trading back, they're going to trade back again.
So do I.
Really think so?
100%.
Yeah, I think they want more.
100%.
I think it's their only way to get more picks.
There's still some really nice talent available, though.
That's
I think they'll end
the
up
reason
with
to
another
trade down.
5th-round pick.
The more talent that's available on the board is the more reason to trade down, right?
Exactly.
No, totally. But a shiny Jeremy Chin is still available.
Where do you play him?
Yeah, I don't. You want? Yeah, your market. You know what position he plays, Evan?
Safety.
So you love Marquise Blair and you want to draft his replacement?
I mean, the flip side of that is Diggs got traded because he couldn't stay healthy, and he couldn't stay healthy here. So a backup plan there is not a bad idea.
Yeah, but there's no
And
real
Diggs
free,
is not the long-term future, right? Like,
there's no real free safety there.
Quandre is 27.
But
I think so.
Quandre
Like,
Quandre's single high.
How do you guys feel about Matabuike?
I'd rather have Raekwon Davis.
Well, he's
He
already
went.
taken.
Oh, where? Who took him?
He went to Miami
Oh, like a while ago then?
like 5 picks ago.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a bummer. Josh Elliott, is he gone off?
Has there been any picks yet?
You mean
Since,
Jordan Elliott?
The Carolina pick?
Pretty sure it's Josh Elliott, isn't it?
Well, there's a Jordan Elliott from Missouri, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, he's the one then. Jordan Elliott. Sorry.
There's a bunch of guys. Gallamore's still there.
Jordan Elliott would be an interesting one because his tape is a lot of fun, but short arms.
Yeah, it depends what they want here.
So hold up. Do we know who the Panthers picked or no?
No, they're taking forever to go through commercials. It's just dragging it out.
Well, it's the Seattle pick. Of course they are.
They were moving too fast. Seemed like it was going at a pretty good clip there for a while.
Yeah.
What if they draft Jacob Eason?
You know, in terms of like weird ass things that the Seahawks might do, they could take a quarterback.
Do we have another quarterback on the roster right now?
Nope.
No.
Geno Smith is just unsigned.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like this is the year you kind of just sign a veteran guy.
Here comes
Yeah.
Panthers.
I'm not advocating it, but I think Jacob Eason is going to be a quarterback in this league. I think he's going to be a starter for somebody.
Really?
I do.
There goes Chin, by the way.
Yeah.
To the
Chin
Panthers.
the Panthers?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense for them. They've had a good draft.
Jeff, what do you think of Devin DuVernay?
He's very tough, and he's a good fit as a slot guy. It just depends if you want Lockett full-time outside.
Yeah.
He's very like hard-nosed, solid receiver. I'd be fine with him. A lot of people, for what it's worth, Brock really liked him. I don't know, that could go either way.
Like people love to compare him to Doug, and I totally get it, but he's one of those guys that like kind of like Jordan Brooks. Like, yeah, I see the similarity, but like I don't know, it feels like a poor man's Bobby or a poor man's Doug. But
Yeah.
speaking of Brooks, do we want to talk about Brooks at all? How are we feeling about Brooks 24 hours later?
I've talked myself into him being a pretty solid football player, but I have a hard time seeing him being like an immediate year one contributor.
Yeah, I like the player. I think it's not like a McDowell, Fetty, Penny even, but I still don't love the pick. I still don't love that they're still playing 1990 football, and that's what scares me. But compared to those guys they take in the first round, he looks a lot different than those players. There's legitimate upside, I think, there.
So I've watched quite a bit of him now, and I went back and I specifically tried to watch as much 2018 tape on him as I could because he was used much more similarly as to how he'll be used in Seattle in 2018 than he did in 2019. 2019, his tape is still fun, but they really like, he was almost like a defensive tackle that would kind of spy. He would like hang out like right behind the line. Like they never really asked him to drop back. And it makes sense playing against, some option teams and stuff like that, some of the Big 12 football. And he played well in that role, but it's not one that you think would really translate to the pros, and it's all like run defense stuff, which the value of that is questionable. But I think that the few times that you can find him, dropping back and stuff, like the tools are all there. Like he is not, again, like a Levon Kirkland, like we were talking about before the draft, comparing him to Queen. Like he can move, he has good movement skills. I don't think he's quite the fluid athlete that Bobby was. So I don't know that he's got quite the ceiling of a Bobby Wagner. And without really seeing him play in these zones and react and feel the stuff behind him, it's hard to say how good he'll actually be. But this whole thing that he's like just a run defender or he can't play the pass, like I can't point you to a single snap where I felt like he did a particularly poor job in coverage. They weren't all great. Some of them were, he had times where guys got behind him and he lost them and stuff, but like nothing that like is like egregious or, anything. So, I think this is one where we talk a lot about like, appeal to authority and, John Schneider's been doing this forever and Pete's been doing this forever and they've had a lot of success building a defense, like, and they know more than us. I think this is one where people should feel fairly comfortable thinking that they've seen more of Brooks and they have a better feel for what they want their linebackers to do and how they want them to react in coverage. And I think it's fair to kind of trust them on this and think they probably saw enough and have a good feel for what he can do in coverage that he shouldn't be a disaster there. I mean, who knows, right? Anything can happen, but I come away from that pick pretty encouraged. I think it's still a question just like how impactful can he be? How good can he be in the the passing game? Like how much does a linebacker really matter? But like he's fast, he's athletic. Like, I think it's potentially a good pick.
One thing I can say I was told today.
Hold on.
One thing I can say I was told today, Baltimore had a first-round grade on Brooks. I was told that today. This is not coming from Seattle people. Seattle people always say that someone wanted to trade for him or something. I'm just starting to laugh at that now. It seems to happen to every one of their picks. But I was told that Baltimore did not expect Queen to be there, so they did a lot on Brooks, and they were ready to pick him.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no jokes, no snark. It's nice. It's always nice to hear when Nathan has a positive opinion of a player or a move because it's genuine. It doesn't come like he's not going to be the guy that's always trying to find the silver lining. So I think that's an encouraging thing to hear. It's nice to hear. And yeah, Jeff, I think it's interesting about what you said about Baltimore too. I guess if I was to look back, and I can pull this up while we're waiting, all the Seahawks linebackers that they've ever picked, without having done that homework for a second, would you guys guess that of all the linebackers they've picked, they've hit on more than 50%?
Yeah, I would.
All rounds?
I was thinking about this earlier today too, and I didn't go look it up, but I would guess that they have.
I would too.
Yeah.
I would too. I mean, all the way back to Malcolm Smith in the 7th, Bobby, KJ. I'll do it while we're waiting here, but I think they have a pretty good track record.
KPL he's the player in the NFL. He's been there for like 7 years.
Yeah, they missed on him though in a weird way because he ended up being able to stick around, but like he didn't work for them. So that was an interesting one.
So they drafted Dexter Davis, who I loved, but they drafted him to be a defensive end. He wasn't drafted.
Yeah, he was one of the edge guys, just a total dart throw.
2011, KJ Wright and Malcolm Smith hit and hit. 2012, Bobby Wagner hit. Corey Toomer did not work out.
What was he? 7th round, 6th round?
Toomer was a 5th round pick.
Okay. But he was a real just toolsy project guy, right?
He was, and he stayed in the league for a few years.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a total zero. 2013, nobody. 2014, Kevin Pierre-Louis. Not great, but
special teams, sir.
Trade.
Yeah.
He's still in the league.
2015, nobody. 2016, nobody. 2017, nobody.
There were some Brady Coyles, right?
Yeah, Kalitro.
Those guys were like Brock Coyle is who you're talking about. That was an
Brady,
free agent,
Brady Coyle.
Pretty close.
Yeah, Kalitro was one. They traded for DJ Alexander. That was a
that was a special teams pickup. They weren't drafting. They weren't trading him to be a.
They whiffed on that one just about all the way around. God, he didn't do anything for him.
Yeah, he was bad.
2018. I don't know if do we consider Shaquem Griffin a linebacker. I guess we have to.
I don't know. He was let's see what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah, who just went?
And then last year we know that they got Cody Barton and Ben Burke-Hervin. So there's not a lot of huge misses. That's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a 65%, maybe 70% hit rate at linebacker.
This is kind of the thing with them, though, right? Like they hit on Bobby and KJ in the first couple of years, and then it's just a bunch of like 5th round or later undrafted guys, right? And so it's like, okay, they nailed 2. They did okay with the later round guys, considering they were later round guys. Now with Barton and Brooks, it's like, okay, can you do it again?
Yeah. I mean, where are you guys on Barton? I mean, Nathan, you were a big fan of Barton last year early on. I mean, as I've said, the jury's out for me on him. I think I'm not against him or down on him. I haven't seen anything that makes me feel like, yeah, that guy's going to be a quality starting linebacker. I think like he's got starting potential, but I don't see like above average starter potential so far.
He's a little interesting. I mean, he's maybe the reverse of a Brooks. Like he.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. The Lions just picked Julian Okwara.
Oh,
yeah, have a moment of silence, Derek.
Oh man.
Damn.
That's too bad.
Sorry, dude.
I don't think they're ever gonna pick him.
Probably not.
So my Josh Jones dream is still alive.
Still, who went to Cincinnati and who went to Washington?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I missed all this.
Guys,
I went to look. I missed all this.
The Jets pick is in. That means the Seattle is on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Your dread at every Seattle pick is pretty fantastic. I didn't expect that. Yeah. Washington took Antonio Gibson, who people liked. And the Bengals drafted Luke Wilson.
Okay. I want them to draft Josh Jones because holy crap, can you imagine what Evan would do? We'd have to like stop. We'd have to censor the rest of the show.
I would have actually. I'm not going to say that. I would have potentially highly inappropriate responses.
Yeah, how can you not want that to happen? Forget football.
I mean, it couldn't be any worse than some of the draft clues that Pete shared out, right? Those have been a little NSFW. There's been some language,
Yeah.
big boy words.
Yes. Yeah.
Nathan, I thought you absolutely nailed that Darrell Taylor.
So we can talk about that too. I'm suspicious that Darrell Taylor was supposed to be the first round pick, and that's what those clues were. I think they fit up a hell of a lot better with Taylor than they do for.
Yeah, they do.
Interesting.
That was some like CIA bullshit. That was amazing.
So, well, I mean, these were like common things too, right? 1917, he's in the trench. Everyone was like, "Oh, trenches, defensive line or offensive line." And then there was Christine Taylor in Zoolander. She's Ben Stiller's wife. What was the Brady Bunch lady?
Yep.
And then Buzz Lightyear is voiced by Tim Allen, who voiced Tim Taylor in Home Improvement. And then there's that quote that made the rounds of Taylor saying that we're gonna go kick their fucking asses before like a Florida game or something. Which that whole Jumanji clip was about them fighting and saying you're gonna get your ass beat. So yeah, that's my conspiracy theory.
Seahawks pick is in, guys.
Really?
That's what it says.
Please, Josh Jones.
Seahawks pick is in. My guess is nobody was willing to trade with them. I can't imagine they wanted to stick. There's 3 defensive tackles that are interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those names.
Brian Edwards. That's what I want.
Me too.
Brian Edwards.
Mm-hmm. The South Carolina receiver.
Oh, he's not highly rated on the ESPN best available.
Well, if Mel Kiper doesn't like him.
I mean, Josh Jones would be the obvious winner pick here. Like, we didn't even think Josh Jones was going to fall to like 27 or whatever the heck they were picking.
So Ashton Davis for him.
I'd be okay if they kept on defense. Their defense is so bad.
I mean, if they pull a nickelback here,
yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah.
But defensive tackle is another option, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch
for sure.
All right, here we go. I'm going to announce it to you guys. We'll hear it at the same time.
Okay.
Damian Lewis, guard, LSU.
Really?
Wow, that's a shocker.
Lewis is a short interior offensive lineman with slightly below average length and good upper body strength. He generally anchors well in pass pro and is an effective run blocker who flashes an above average power. He's a finisher who plays with an edge.
I had on my list this morning, but
I don't mind it.
Guys,
when does he see
the offensive line? I mean, that's no joke. That they really
55 guards now.
Now they took him over Josh Jones. They took an offensive lineman, and it's not Josh Jones.
Yeah, that's it. Holy cow, this guy's a big motherfucker. Holy shit.
He is 6'2", 327. That is going to make a pretty rotund man.
Holy cow.
He's not even like that big. He's just short, like, or doesn't have the typical height.
Well, interestingly, ESPN has him ranked as the number 2 guard in the draft.
Yeah, that's about right.
Look at the PFF big draft board.
So I haven't watched him. I didn't watch any guards. I had this draft all wrong for Seattle. What does this mean for their? So they have 8 centers on the roster, and so Finney is a guy that they just talked about how they were happy they got him, right? And he's currently behind like maybe both Britt and Posick. So people are talking about him playing guard, where you have Haynes, Fluker. Did they bring up Upati back? Right?
Yeah. They just 1 year deal.
Haynes, Upati, Fluker, and I'm totally blanking on the left tackle they drafted out of OSU.
Oh, Jamarco.
Jamarco.
Jamarco's going to be a tackle.
Huh?
He's gonna
well,
be a
yeah.
right
So that's
tackle.
the thing. Is Jones a tackle?
He's a right tackle. I'm telling you guys, you all hate the idea. I'm telling you, he could be their best right tackle option. Absolutely could be. I'm sticking with that.
It kind of seems like they're punting this draft for 2020 and setting up for 2021.
I don't.
Almost every pick.
I don't understand how that's a thing.
It just every pick is kind of set up where there's kind of a veteran there, and
well, they clearly I think they did that on purpose, and I think that was good. Like I think that they tried to make it so they didn't have to draft anything.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't
here's
that?
One quote I like from the PFF description of Damian Lewis. Wants to take your soul in the run game. Highest graded FBS guard from week 11 on in all of college football.
Cool.
How many weeks are there in college football?
12.
Isn't that like 12 games?
I don't know. But they had him projected as a 3rd round pick.
This was his range.
Jamarco Jones was tied for the top rated right tackle from week 20 on in the last season.
Maybe. So what happens to your guy Haynes?
Yeah, what does that? So really though, what happens to I guess Jones is just a tackle that. This offensive line is actually mildly concerning. It's okay, so you have Dwayne Brown, and then what else? And it's I don't know. We'll just put it in a pot and see. Which I mean, fine, I guess, but seems like a weird year to do that, especially if you're planning for a shortened offseason.
Yeah, how do I get more info on this guy in PFF? I want to see his. Is there a separate thing for college football PFF? Yeah, I mean, Man, have they drafted? Where have they drafted their offensive linemen in past years? Right, especially their guards, not their tackles, their guards.
Pretty high. Typically in the 1 through. I
They
mean, they've
took-
kind of done it everywhere, but
They took Haynes in the 4th last year. They took.
I think Jones was in the 5th.
the pure guards have been later, I think. Like
Yeah,
Carp,
right. Like
Carp
Posick, they took in
Moffitt?
the 2nd as a center, but he could play every position. Is how
I think Cable won him at right tackle too. You saw how bad
I
that
wasn't
was.
talking that. Moffitt was maybe the other highest one. He was a pure guard, and he went in the 3rd.
Reese Odiombo was drafted as a guard.
But he was a tackle too. He played tackle.
That's
in college.
right. That's right.
He was a tackle. This is the highest Solari pick.
Terry Poole, Mark Glowinski were guards in the 4th round.
Not that top of the 3rd is all that high.
People do not talk enough about how bad Terry Poole was. He was maybe the worst offensive lineman I've ever seen in a training camp. He was awful. Guards. Yeah. Ryan Seymour, 7th round in 2013. Yeah, John Moffitt in the 3rd round, I think, is their earliest guard. So this is the 3rd round, yeah, right. So this ties, it's probably the highest they've ever spent on it. They picked 75 that they used on John Moffitt. The highest pick they've ever spent on a guard.
And talking about precedence with trading up, the precedence there with Moffitt is not super fantastic.
Well, I know Bell
For a lot of
Square
reasons.
probably is not feeling good about this pick right now, if that's the case. But well, I mean, yeah, Evan, one of your first reactions, you said you don't hate it. Why?
This is very far from a catastrophic start to the draft. Like maybe it's my very low baseline expectations, but the Rashad Penny picks, the LJ Collier picks, were all major red flags. I think these are positions of need for the team. And like you said, he was still highly rated as one of the best players available. I think the 2nd best guard available in the draft is what you said per ESPN.
Yep.
I just none of these feel like desperation picks. Like, none of them are blue chip players, but hey, I mean, this could be a lot worse is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong? Do you guys disagree?
I think I hate to be this guy, but I think that is a really good description of this draft this year for the Seahawks. It could have been so much worse.
It could have. Like, it really could have.
It could have been so much worse.
Like,
There
I
are
hate
some,
to say it, but
there are some shades of 2016 in that comment, though, right? Like the depth draft. Remember that? The Vanette, Delano, Naz. Like, oh yeah, I don't know if they got anybody amazing, but it's pretty good, and they got some good depth. They're really rounding out the roster. Like, who knows?
Yeah, I think it's less about whether they have the upside, and we can talk about that too. It is that they weren't drafting a running back in the 1st round, and they weren't drafting a clear reach guard as an offensive tackle in the 1st round or 2nd round. Or
Nobody has. We haven't seen any college football coach goes, they picked him.
Wait, and they picked him to play what? It was a double dip on Carpenter. They're like, 1st round tackle? Like, what? So yeah, I think that's what Evan and I are vibing on. It is like linebacker. You just talked about it, Nathan. Like, I think that there's a good reason that's a decent pick, and I definitely see linebacker as a meaningful position of need for this team. Defensive end, we all know is a position of need. Hope that works out. Don't know. And then guard, that was not a position of need, but it is basically them saying they like someone a lot. And if that means that they push off a Upati off the roster, I'm all for it.
I would argue it's a position of need, though.
Why?
I don't think there's talent there. Like, DJ Fluker took a huge step back last year, a huge step backwards last year. He's entering the second year of his deal, the final year of his deal. You've got Upati, who is, a veteran. He's a Band-Aid approach. You've got Phil Haynes, sure, who we're excited about and stuff, but like none of these guys are good.
Evan, I just have to tell you something, and I want you to just hold on hold on to something. Josh Jones was just picked
by
the Arizona Cardinals.
Fuck! Are you shitting me? Oh my God. Do you realize they're going to be good this year? Cardinals are going to be good this year. But
possible.
I have some news that is going to tickle both of your pass protection testicles with this. Are you ready? You ready for this?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know what that means.
This stat is gonna tickle your pass protection balls. Is what I'm about to say. You ready?
Okay.
Per Pro Football Focus, Damian Lewis allowed just 5 sacks, 13 hurries, and 1,100 pass blocking snaps his last 2 years at LSU.
One more time.
Damian Lewis allowed just 5 sacks and 13 hurries in 1,100 pass blocking snaps in his last 2 years at LSU. I don't know about you, but that gets me going when I hear that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I could get really excited about Phil Haynes and Damian Lewis at guard, like 2 young, big dudes. And then maybe you've got Finney as your center now. You get rid of Britt.
Can we just cut him?
Yeah.
I'm sick of him. I'm sick of him.
I'm just gonna like push on this. Like if they put Jamarco Jones at right tackle, who I believe in there, this could actually be their best offensive line in the Pete Carroll era. Dwayne Brown at left tackle. If you have someone like Phil Haynes, proves that he's worthy of playing at guard. Finney at center, I think, is a clearly better pass protector than Britt's been. Got a lot of options at right guard. Could be Damian Lewis, could be Fluker, could be any one of the other guys that we've talked about, and then Jones at right tackle. From a pass protection standpoint, that might be your best line in John Schneider, Pete Carroll history.
It's not crazy.
That rubs me the right way.
Now, we can play the other game too, though.
Yeah.
I don't want to play the other game. I don't want to play that game.
Play the game. I want to hear.
I mean, I think the way this falls apart. I mean, there's one just really easy way this falls apart, and it's that Dwayne Brown is cooked, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There's no backup left tackle.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and then you've got, Phil Haynes looked good in about half of a football game. Jamarco Jones, I think, is probably the most promising of the bunch, right? Brandon Shell, not.
You've got Jordan Simmons and Chance Warmack as well.
You see what Brady said about Warmack the other day?
What?
No.
Brady Henderson wrote like an article saying like the Seahawks have like crazy high expectations for Warmack. They just think his career has been taken down by injuries. I was like, yeah, he wrote an article the other day when they spoke, and like that line just like popped up the page to me. Like it was bizarre.
I mean, the little bit that I saw of him playing for Philly, I thought looked okay. Like it didn't look bad by any stretch.
Well, and so tackles that they've got on the roster are Dwayne Brown, Jamarco Jones. And by the way, he's listed as tackle, not tackle/guard. He's listed as tackle on the roster. Cedric Agbuehi. I have no idea if I'm doing that right.
Agbuehi.
Yeah.
And Brandon Shell. And Chad Wheeler. So they've got 5 tackles on the roster as it is. Agbuehi is has been projected as a left tackle. I don't think anyone wants him to be a starter, but I assume he's your backup left tackle and would allow someone like Jones to compete with Shell for the right tackle spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the downsides here are less than the downsides are less than the upsides. Like, I think there's more reason to think that they've, especially on the interior, like they've just thrown a ton of stuff. They have a lot of options at this point.
Do you want to hear the list of guards? Like just the sheer like volume of guard options they've got to wade through. DJ Fluker and Upati, who were both starters last year. Phil Haynes, Jordan Simmons, Chance Warmack, Damian Lewis now, Khalil McKenzie, Demetrius Knox. That's it.
You forgot one.
Dudes.
You forgot one.
Which?
Jamarco Jones. He's not a tackle.
You could say Finney is also a guard option, but I really do think he's going to be their center.
This has to end Justin Britt, right?
It has to be. You could also, by the way, Posick, also a guard option.
I guess if you cut Britt, is he?
Do they have
like Britt? Then it's Finney's odds on starter, but I think they'll compete. I think it would be a competition between Finney and Posick for center.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that would indicate that Posick would move to center.
I don't know. We talked about creating a position of strength. I don't know that it's a strength yet, but they definitely did not just go for need, like where they have like a gap on the roster that they just need to fill.
No, 2 of their 3 picks, not at all.
Mm-hmm. That's why this just doesn't feel disastrous.
I love how low our bar is set here. It's like when they're the first round pick, we're like, well, at least it's not a Fetty or Penny.
I mean,
why is that the standard?
Those are scarring picks, and they happen every year. Like, it's nice to have a year where that's not the case.
I know. It's just sad that is our standard. We can't.
I kind of just appreciate boring picks. Like, I'll take it.
Well, and you back up a little bit and you look at the offseason now. Quentin Dunbar. It's a nice ad, right? Philip Dorsett. It's just a little bit better than, Jerron Brown. You're going to have DK Metcalf as an improved player coming into his second year. I think that can play any wide receiver position they were talking about now, move around the offense. You got Greg Olsen at tight end. Hopefully you get Will Dissly back. I mean, can we just talk about Will Dissly for a second? Like, that guy, when he's healthy, is there any player that's been a bigger impact when he's healthy versus when he's like, he has been such a difference maker when he's been on the field. And he just hasn't been able to stay on the field the last couple of years. So if you can manage to have Will Dissly and Greg Olsen, and you got Metcalf, and you got Dorsett, and you've got Lockett, and you've got an offensive line that maybe has some chance. It's not the receiver you wanted, but it could be an interesting approach to improving the offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to look at the team and think they got any worse, at least, right? And again, like, hey, it's not a disaster, but I mean, this team won a playoff game last year, right? And so, and there's a lot of ways that you can look at it and think they've improved, right? I mean, the Clowney thing is kind of a big question mark hanging over all this. But yeah, I mean, if I think we all had bigger hopes for this offseason, but I don't know. If this team isn't a playoff team again, right? Like, it's not a bad thing.
There's still room in the cap for one more defensive end.
Yeah, so I mean,
especially if you take out Britt.
Let's say if they sign Everson Griffin. Let's say that the Clowney thing just isn't going to happen and they get Griffin. Let's say they get Griffin or Clowney, either one.
Yeah.
And that's their only additional move that they make via free agency. How you feeling?
Pretty good, I think.
Yeah, a lot better than where I am right now. I think that's the piece they're missing. Because
You know,
now
the
with
one
Gerald
thing-
Taylor-
Go ahead, Jeff.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the one thing that we kind of forget about a lot is the nickel corner situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one that just has not yet been addressed at all. I know they say they want Dunbar to play inside and whatever. We'll see. But that's still the big, maybe kind of, Achilles heel here.
I agree. I think people give Amadi way too much credit. I'm hopeful about Amadi, but that's not a guy I feel like you could just assume is the answer there. And I don't see Dunbar as a nickel corner. As like if that's your nickel corner, I'm a little concerned.
I think that you, at the very least, he's not exciting there. I don't think. Like, can he do it? I mean, maybe. I don't think that's going to be where he's really good, though, right? It's like asking Clowney to play Sam. Like, yeah, he'd probably be fine at it, but you're just not maximizing him there.
Well, you know what's interesting? And I think you'll agree with this, Jeff. The only move the Seahawks have made this offseason that I hated, like really hated, was tendering Brandon Jackson. Like that just drives me crazy. But were there other moves that you guys hated that they've made so far this year? There's moves they didn't make that we wanted them to make.
Mm-hmm.
But was there a move you
that was going to be my answer?
Nothing I hated. I mean, I think the only thing that I can really even complain about is I still think they probably paid Olsen too much. Reed. I didn't like the Reed signing at all.
Yeah, I know you guys were not a big fan. I don't have as much concern about that one, but that's a good one to call out because I know that was not one you guys loved.
Yeah, it's more things they didn't do. Like I would have just liked them to see them secure up right tackle. They didn't draft an offensive tackle. You pay $5 million more. That's
So
a big.
let's say they trade all of their picks this year, the remaining picks, into next year, and they don't get any other free agent additions. What is your guys' draft grade or off-season grade?
Okay, just based off what they've done to this point, in the
Right,
draft,
saying that nothing more is going to happen. They're done.
Don't know anything else, and the free agent moves they've made and trades they've made. C plus, B minus, maybe, probably C plus.
Yeah, I'm gonna go C plus. They came to the season with one hole and they still haven't filled it.
I could be talked down to a C.
I think I'm talking myself down actually. So didn't sign in this scenario. Didn't sign any pass rusher, or I mean Bruce and Mayoa.
Right.
Brought in the Dunbar trade. Right, that's a plus. The draft so far looks pretty good. Right, looks B-ish.
B minus, yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay. Had a ton of flexibility, ton of cap space, a lot they could do there. Re-signed Reed, which I think is at best a wash, right? And people are critical of that. So just considering like the opportunity, I think at this point I'm really down at like a D plus level, C minus.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like they didn't get worse, and in some ways they've gotten better, but they didn't get as good as they needed to be to really push them over to that next level. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if you just look at defensive end, just that role with what they've done and what was possible, I give them like a D minus. Like That
I think it's an F.
It's not quite an F to me because I know I feel differently about Mayowa and Irvin than you guys. I think those are the right types of guys for them to add if they had also added an alpha. So I don't have a problem with those two signings. I think they were decent signings. I think you could make the case. I don't think it's a stretch that their pass rush could be better next year if they made no other moves because it was so bad last year. I'm not saying it would be a good pass rush, but I think that it's not an F to me because they did, I think, get some decent value with those two guys. But, I think a lot of their other moves, like Finney, for example, that's a sneaky good move. Like, I think he's going to be a really quality interior lineman for them, and he's more of a pass protector. Like, it's not the type of move they've typically made, and it could mean that they're going to get rid of Britt, and should get rid of Britt. Like,
I would give them a lot more
move.
Sorry, I'd give them more credit for Finney if it was clear how he was going to start.
Exactly.
That's like a mitigating thing for me there.
Yeah, I mean, if Britt gets cut, you assume that Finney's the guy. That I'm just making a big assumption there, but I'm just thinking ahead. That's how it's going to work out. So I don't know. I like the Philip Dorsett move. I think it's something that we're going to laugh, but I'm serious about it. I think people wondering about the receiver position and why they haven't taken a receiver yet. I think they think really highly of John Ursua. And that's a guy that did not get to play last year. I think they feel good about having him in the mix. And they're not reliant on him, but I think they like what they've got in that spot.
Yeah, it's just for that where they are, they're about that 10 win level. I said this the other day. I think the hardest thing to do is jump from that 10 to 13 level. And it usually takes either a great draft or a monumental free agent signing. And they're still closer to that 10 level than they are 13. And
say the 10 level, 13 level thing again. I don't think I'm following.
Like for me, the hardest jump to make in the NFL is from 10 wins as like a fringe
playoff. I see.
To become championship level. I think it's easy to get from like 7 to 10. I think that just takes like filling roster spots, filling depth, having a good draft. Yeah, exactly. To where they are with usually takes either like you land on Russ in the draft. That took that 2011 team into a Super Bowl contender. But the Seahawks seem stuck at that 10 win level still.
Well, they won a lot good enough last year with a lot of injuries and a playoff game.
Yeah, but their point differential, and I think it kind of works in both ways.
Yeah, I guess they beat I think they beat the most talented team in the NFL and should have beat them twice.
They did, but they also got killed by a bad Rams team, and they kind of were what they were last year.
Kind of got lucky to beat that team the first time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, but
Jamie Clowney also played like the game of his life. That it was just they kind of were what they were, and like I still don't know if there's enough for them to go. We all want them to be a Super Bowl team, and that's what we wanted with this offseason. I don't know if they're still quite there yet.
Yeah, the problem with that for me is the bar that there seems like, are they the most talented team in the NFL is kind of what you're getting at. Like
not that. It's just, do they have a roster that's capable of competing for a championship?
Yeah, but I mean, Tom Brady's, Pats rarely had the most talent. Even Peyton Manning's teams rarely had the most talent, but they had those players that were major difference makers. And the Seahawks have Russell Wilson. I think if we're waiting for the Seahawks to be as dominantly talented as they were back when, relative to the rest of I don't think that's realistic. Do I think that? I mean, one of the things last year, I agree with you guys. Their point differential was terrible last year, and belied a team that was indicated a team that was far worse. But then you look around the league. We talked all last year that the league was just like there weren't that many good teams. There just weren't any teams that were like, oh, could Seattle beat them, or could look at the Seahawks played the Eagles in the playoffs, right? Like they were in the playoffs. They played the Packers, who also were not that good and had a very good record. They won 13 games last year. The Packers were not a super talented team. So I just wonder if our if our expectations are a little bit off in terms of the talent level they have to have. I think
I will
they
say
need to be better
though,
than they were last year, 100%.
Yeah.
They have to be like 25 or 30% better than last year. I don't know if they do.
I will say though, you were pretty big on the if they don't land 2 players like the Packers did last year, this is a disaster offseason, right? Like,
Yes.
and I think,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So it's one of those where it's like, do I think that they did bad things this offseason? No, everything seems fine to good. Do I think that they did the most with what they had? No, absolutely not. Right. And so it's from an expectation perspective is why I'm down like a D plus C minus, but like, I don't see them stepping back or anything.
I think I don't hate that at all, Nathan. And on another day, I will probably say this offseason is an F. Like no matter what else they did, because they did not address the pass rush the way they should. Like absolutely, I could see myself, in a different mindset there. I guess I was just looking at the ones that they did add, the moves that they did make. There's not like a, Jesus, Tyler Columbus or what was the guy they signed just a few years ago to start Jokel, right? Like there isn't a Jokel for $8 million. I think the thing that's missing for me now is some of the second tier, third tier, fourth tier defensive line. Like where's the Al Woods? Where's the Tony? McDaniel. Thank you. That style guy. That they're going to add at this point.
Yeah, there's a couple guys in the draft that could fill Al Woods' role though.
Yeah. Well, we talked last year, and we can wrap it up here, I guess, unless you guys have other stuff. We talked last year about how Rasheem Green going into training camp was the most important player to see it, like in terms of whether he developed and his potential impact. He improved, but definitely not to the point that he was a major impact player. I think the guy he's going to be another one to watch again, but LJ Collier is a guy that we're assuming nothing. He's going to be nothing. I think we're all assuming that at this point. He was a first round pick. He was injured, did not get an off season or a training camp, I should say. If he's something, that would be, they'd be very fortunate. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't mean it was a smart off season, but that's one area where you can maybe hope that you're going to get more than you're hoping for, more than you're expecting.
There's a few of those, right? There's Blair too. I mean, who knows with Ugo? DK could get even better, right? Disley could be healthy. There's a lot of upside on this team still.
Yep. Puna Ford also did not have the season we expected him to last year.
And Reed, right? If he's more 2018 than 2019, that's huge.
Yeah, Reed was a 0 for most of the year.
Literally, he was suspended for a long time.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, guys. Well, on that note, let's wrap it for the night. We'll be back tomorrow and see what the Seahawks do in the later rounds. It's always interesting. Until then, take care and go Hawks.